Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
A Alliance versus Cloud9, another rematch on our hands. even if we may think one of the groups was a little bit more, maybe a little bit more tougher, not as clear cut. It definitely turned out that the seeding was kind of right, gods? It seems like our presumably our seeded 2 and 3 teams in both these groups match up against each other, and then are going to have a rematch to determine second place within their groups.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess Group A was like, I don't know what Bears were seeded going in. Were they the 1 seed?
I think
were
Bears,
they the 4 seed?
I think Bears were the 4 seed, honestly.
I think they were the 4 seed
new team,
too.
right? Like, you can't seed them anywhere else.
Yeah, that's why the groups were so fucked up. Like, I mean, you can criticize the groups all you want, but end of the day, I don't think Bears have earned a high seed just because of their roster. So the result is that Secret and Na'Vi had a tough time because of that, and Na'Vi go out in the groups, but over time those things will balance themselves out.
Yeah, absolutely. Na'Vi still have, I think, a lot of improvement to be made, and they will have the opportunity to make that improvement. Like DAC is the end of. We're going to go into Alliance versus Cloud9 with our fan favorite. Our first pick for Alliance.
Mm-hmm. Different bands, though. Very different bands. Disruptor, I mean, Meepo ban is like the respect ban towards Ace. See a few teams first stage banning it against certain players, but IO Tiny against Alliance, sure. Limps Tiny, take it out. Disruptor first stage ban, we saw C9 going for a couple first stage disruptors yesterday, but they also really like heroes like the Rubik as well, so I don't think that's going to throw them off too much.
This is a ban pool that maybe we didn't see in the last series, but I feel like a lot of teams do this 1-2 ban against Alliance. Ban away the Wisp as well as the Tiny, just because Limps Tiny is that threatening.
And a first stage Shadow Fiend, so almost maybe like a part block pick, worried about a second pick from Alliance. Like the physical damage carries go very well with Slider, but there's also still the Weaver there, so I don't feel like you necessarily could have jumped to the full conclusion they were going for it. And Alliance goes Sniper right off the bat as the pseudo laning stage counter to the SF. Sniper does match up very well against the SF in the early stages, but this is an SF with a Ogre support.
Yeah, I'm feeling like Sniper is gonna have to have a support with him in the beginning, because Sniper's range is not that good at level 1. Ogre is going to be the threatening force that allows SF to be able to do souls necessary, and then they'll go from Sniper having the attack damage advantage, SF having a clear CS advantage. Those souls. So Alliance, presumably they have some sort of plan in mind. Deal with this one. So far, our lineups look very similar. Tanky strength hero picked up the maybe support on the side of Alliance, maybe a ranged mid laner glass cannon. Cloud9, I would hazard to say, are probably going to have a little bit team fight power, but our 3-4 bans come out. Cloud9, of course, going to ban away the Lifestealer anytime there's a Slardar. If teams want to pick up Slardar, Lifestealer as a 1-2, I think they're more than welcome to. Most teams are going to be able to deal with that, but you don't want to give that Lifestealer Slardar an option as a
Radiant team ban.
Yeah, and we saw, I mean, that was, I think, one of the downfalls of Nip yesterday, is that Loader got his hands on that 3rd, 4th pick Lifestealer multiple games in a row with a Slider on his team, and Nip just didn't show enough respect towards the pick and just how well Loader could play it. So Cloud9, having seen those games, I mean, I think we'll see like second stage bans Lifestealers, even without a Slider, it may be worthy of a ban, but even more so because of it. So see what Loader ends up on as a result instead. The Weaver's still in the pool. We could see something like Avenge still stands out as a good pick, either as a support or a core for either team. I mean, you're looking at pretty heavy physical damage drafts, so Avenge is definitely a top pick still. Things fairly open for the two teams as far as their carries go.
Yeah, I like Venge as a third pick here for Cloud9 because first of all it'll take it away from Alliance who play a lot of that hero, but also the fact that the core Venge, especially with the Ogre Magi, is very threatening, and I think you have to draft around that idea, and then Cloud9 could just be like, oh no, actually with this fourth pick, you know, we're just doing a Venge support. They could threaten this very powerhouse, like, we're going to hit mid-game really hard, we're going to have a ton of physical damage, and Alliance may have to draft some heroes, some sort of sustain or something to be able to keep up in regard to that threat, whether it is or core.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, Darkseid, the other ban from Cloud9. This is partly why the lifesteal snuck through, is because Nip felt like they needed to ban heroes like Darkseid that pair up with Slatter and really reserve bans towards the loader heroes. So overall game plan for Alliance, we'll have to wait and see. They typically like to fight around some of those timings like the blink daggers and get loader like more of a mid-game oriented fighting carry. They banned the Slark, so that doesn't, I don't know, I feel like I haven't seen much of Ace play Slark, and I feel like I haven't seen much of Slark in general, let alone successful Slark games. Tanky, stat-heavy heroes, you know. Yeah,
I feel like I've seen a couple of Slarks versus Underlords. You know, you've got decent kill potential from that hero in lane, and then also the tankiness of Underlord. A nice for that steal off of. But then again, I'm actually just surprised in general that Underlord has not been touched, at least in the 3-4 bans, just because no matter what, that hero, even if you try and counter it, doesn't
Alliance's turn to pick.
Does not seem to ever really be true. Do go for the Venge, third pick up here for Cloud9.
Yeah, it's kind of like a test the water, see where Alliance go with their draft by picking a Venge up, since it is still flexible, support, core, gives you some save. It's your draft well anyway, so Alliance will most likely react like with a support themselves. I feel like they also want to just wait to see where Cloud9 go with their draft, learn a bit more about what they're doing before they commit too much to any like getting a secondary core hero.
Radiant team pick.
All right.
Like that hero would be the nice tester. That being said, though, it works well with Slardar. It is physical damage and all that. But do you think that Dazzle Sniper is... I mean, offensively, right, the weave is really good. But defensively, Shallow Grave, Saving Sniper, you would prefer to have a hero that just doesn't allow people to be on top of the sniper in the first place.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I feel like the obvious response to this Dazzle is an Axe pick. Like, picking the Axe against the Dazzle makes total sense here. It gives you it's something Cloud9 needed anyways, to have that initiating type offlaner. Whether it's like the Hester Joe he used to play, or the Bat Rider, but that hero's fallen off. He plays like Legion Commander, but I think Axe is just the obvious counterplay to the Dazzle, and it's a hero that you initiate in, and during that Berserker's Call, you've got all that armor, so you're not going to necessarily melt to an amp damage. As far as the Sniper Dazzle goes, I feel like the Slatter Sniper is where you get the offensive coordination. Like the Corrosive Haze alone is enough for the Sniper to easily pew people down. The Dazzle is not going to get much value with the Sniper in terms of an offensive weave. Perhaps a defensive one if Sniper's getting jumped and he's got that defensive armor on him, but even that, it's like once he's jumped, he's in trouble.
Are missing from this draft. The Lone Druid and the Luna have not. Luna would actually fit in. Yeah, I feel pretty well with. Well, maybe I was gonna say it fits well with C9's lineup, but they'd be going into a sniper. Yeah, that's a little bit more difficult, as well as Dazzle with the offensive weave.
I don't like it for Alliance. Like the Luna Sniper seems like a pretty weak duo, bit too squishy, and the heroes don't really complement each other very well. They go for the Lone Druid though, the double sniper. I haven't seen, I presume, Loda play this one, so I think this is a first as far as Alliance go, unless there's a game I perhaps missed out of them, but...
It could still do, depending on the map, they could still do limp mid Lone Druid and put Sniper safe lane if they feel like the Lone Druid will suit better against SF, and presumably Ogre in that. Yeah. Maybe they'll...
Reserve time.
And yeah, the double sniper route, we're kind of thinking about it, right? The Lone Druid was another notable exception, and it doesn't really go with either lineup here. So It does mean that Cloud9 are going to be hard-pressed when it comes to high ground, but it should mean they dominate the mid because of Lone Druid's power spikes. He presumably will not be the strongest core you could have at 15 minutes, while C9 look very strong in that regard. Whether or not Vengeful Spirit is going to be a safe and unless they pick up a very slow hero with SF, Ogre, Axe hitting his Blink Dagger timing, seems like C9 will be very dominant.
Yeah, I think Alliance in the mid game, leaving the safety of their base or their towers and shrines is going to be very difficult, because at least right now, like Sniper Lone Druid can't easily move out on the map. They're not exactly mobile heroes. Yeah, you've got this Slider as an initiator, but on Cloud9 side, you've got Venge Swaps, you've got Blink Calls, you've got an Ogre who can just walk around scouting stuff out. And Alliance are lacking that kind of secondary, kind of aggressive type playmaking hero. The Clockwork would have perhaps fit quite nicely. You get the cogs for control. It's a good kind of setup and lockdown to enable the Sniper and Lone Druid to help protect them, like just act as a body, be it yourself or your cogs, to stop heroes like Shadow Fiend getting too close to them. But they'll have to look elsewhere for that kind of secondary tank, so to speak, with the Slider, if that's what they have in mind. Centaur is even an option, like
10 seconds remaining.
I don't know. Yeah, that's
5 seconds.
Not sure.
Remaining.
Right, where the bear could run over somebody, but either way, right, it is a nice
Reserve
tanky
time.
initiator and gives you some options for Sniper and Lone Druid to work around when initiated on.
yeah. Lone Druid gets pretty damn fast and doesn't necessarily need the Stampede as much, but I still think it's great. The Sniper gets a lot of benefit from it. As for Cloud9, we see Terrorblade banned out, one of the better kind of ranged carries to perhaps be able to at least deal a bit with the Sniper Lone Druid in terms of matching their range, and also takes objectives very well. I think that's where Cloud9, we talk about their draft, having a strong, scary mid-game. Having a hero to break towers faster is going to be able to punish Alliance's lack of real mid-game team fight. So Alliance go for the core Slider. They pick up a Rubik. So something Alliance do more than other teams is just pick these strong dual supports in terms of the lanes. Like, they like to go for a straight up tri-lane with a solo offlaner. Whether that's still going to be the case because it's a Slider, we'll have to see. But they're a team more than others that will prioritize securing their safe lane.
So Axe is not going to be enough. Are you feeling core or support?
10 seconds remaining.
For the Axe?
For the last pick, Cloud9.
Oh, yeah. I'm probably feeling more the core. Okay, they go PA. I feel like they just needed something that's going to scale a bit better, and PA, fantastic option against Lone Druid Sniper. It's all single target physical damage. The supports do no magic damage. Slider doesn't do anything. Like, this is all right-click physical, so Blur is going to be incredible this game. Blink Strike gives you a gap closer to fight the Sniper Lone Druid with. This is, on paper, the perfect pick for Cloud9.
Yeah, I was looking over the potential pickups here, and that's why I asked you core versus support, because I felt like core wise, if you're gonna go for a last pick core here and not do Venge Harry, you have to have some sort of gap closer, first of all, and you have to have some sort of either early BKB hero, or you have to have some sort of hero that can dish out damage and ignore that Savage Roar somehow. And I think the only heroes I could come up with was PA with the early BKB timing.
remaining.
She hits the mid game really hard, which seems Jug. With the Omni Slash. Feel as mobile as the stop that it's quite heavily. Very definite peak where you have BKB.
Yeah, Sven just seems kind of hard to play in the current patch with his item timings. It seems like maybe it's just like an adjustment thing, because it used to be like it was a very clear progression where you'd stack your Ancients at certain times and then hit this like Sven really early Blink, Echo Saber, Helm of the Dominator timing, and now it seems like a bit more awkward because the Helm of the Dominator isn't like quite the item it used. I mean, it's better in some ways, but for Sven, it's actually worse since you don't get the lifesteal to go with it. But the PA I think the Terrorblade could have worked for them. Not that it's a mobile core, but because of the range factor. But the PA I like actually better than the Terrorblade. The Terrorblade was banned, of course, as well as that last ban.
Yeah. The Terrorblade would have been a nice, like, pushing hero just to overwhelm Alliance by 20 minutes. What a nice idea. Smoke up, TP's out. Well, for C9 anyway. It's kind of surprising because everyone TP's out right now. Maybe Alliance are going to do some of their signature level 1 shenanigans. Maybe go for a late smoke or something of the like because
they've got the smoke. But they'll be scouted by this very early ward if they don't pop it soon. So this is likely to be read by Cloud9.
Maybe the tricky Alliance thing in this game is actually going to be playing super conservatively and just taking their 2 runes, one of which is going to be through the Spirit Bear.
So the Spirit Bear scanning things out at top. This 4-man Alliance unit around this mid lane, not doing all too much. EGM just taunting his way through the mid lane, showing himself. It's the, hey, I'm warding your high ground, but not really. Good know that that's not actually the case.
We didn't talk about the their decision to go with the offlane Slardar. We were talking about the Centaur. I kind of prefer the offlane Slardar. The Centaur was the only other hero that I could come up with, but I do like the fact that they chose to run this hero offlane and then pick up our Rubik instead, which is a nice quick reaction to C9.
The one thing I don't like is all they've got is single target physical damage now. I feel like perhaps if they picked up a support that had like a Lina type support or something. I mean, Lina with Dazzle wouldn't have worked too well necessarily, but I feel like they needed like either to diversify their damage output a bit or add some extra team fight, which they still don't have. Like, it's not like this. I mean, the Rubik gives them a very tiny bit depending on what spells he can steal, but realistically, this is more like just like an early game, good laning hero type pickup that can transition, offer some team fight involvement, but I feel like that's still a big gap in what Cloud9 have.
Pretty sure the smoke got seen, or at least they know the rotation of the supports. Hanskin and EGM are sitting in the trees. They, as a result, are switching up the lanes. Hesjo will still kind of be caught here. Maybe their exact positioning was a bit of surprise to him. And probably be our first blood. He is tanking through the end of this. He's got the PMS. The sun's going to come out. Oh, don't eat Rise. You got to stun a little bit sooner. Yeah. Homies help homies. Come on now.
And he needs to stun sooner. Like he pseudo body blocked. It wasn't like a full-on body block, but he did make him have to walk a bit around, and then he stunned very late. That was Rise still waking up perhaps a bit.
Well, either way, it seems like C9 are able to dodge the aggro trend, though this is still going to be awkward. They have to kind of leave Ace alone here because they can't commit to a tri-lane. Otherwise, the 2 supports just come back and alone drew tri-lane with 2 supports. And that doesn't feel... I don't know what C9 do with their supports here.
Ace is already wanting to be back on that bottom lane now that Dazzle is top and there's an Orb of Venom on Loda's Bear, so... yeah, this is not going to be a good lane stage. And I think that's important that Alliance win this lane stage because otherwise the PA problem is going to be very significant based on how the hero matches up against the Sniper Lone Druid. So they're doing everything they can to try and shut down Ace's early game.
It's been back and forth. SF. 8 and 7 on Sniper. Ooh. He's taking it to him. Maybe Knight will, of course, pick up that jungle farm as well and start building up those souls. It's expected slow start.
Mid lane, some aggression coming in. EGM with a haste rune. Pull him back into the shrapnel.
That's just so unfair. Is that triple shrapnel? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
The whole entire area is covered.
As he hits level 3 timing as well. Really nicely timed, and I mean, part of it's having a haste rune. I think even without a haste rune, potentially you could get in behind him and make that play even regardless, but the haste rune makes it easier.
Spotted out here by Rise. The Port Vengeful Spirit is actually turning a little bit into a core with the way that he's been able to take most of this solo farm bottom.
Yeah, Rise is normally that hard 5, not getting too much. I mean, some games will get farmed because Noy is playing heroes like the Ogre, who is that pseudo 4 position in terms of the fact he's roaming and moving around the map more, but doesn't actually farm as much as some of the laning supports go. But right now, yeah, lane's overall pretty good. PA has managed to farm at least okay at the top lane just by using the Stifling Dagger, but is now going to like fall back into the jungle, use the Shrine, and
I think she
probably
Iron Talons maybe.
can. What's she holding on to? She gets the poor man's shield. But
Wondering how much time he plans on spending inside jungle.
it's maybe worth doing regardless because it's just some casual armor as well. It's not too big of a gold investment to get an extra couple points in armor, and you're going to hold on to that Quelling Blade for some time.
All right, nope, they are not going to force Ace to do this skimping jungle / half lane situation any longer. They are going to rotate Joe up to top lane. He's level 4 now, so he can make jungle work pretty well, and they can put a lot more pressure on with this combination of EA.
This is the laning step that C9 wanted, ideally from level 1. We'll see if Alliance take both supports back down bottom to pressure the PA again, but they're kind of at that stage where it's harder to do so. Now that the PA has some levels, these Rubik Dazzle supports are now squishy. Level 1, they're not squishy because there's no damage output from the PA, but now that PA has the Blightstone, is going to pick up some boots soon, presumably, like a level 5 PA with a Venge Stun or an Ogre rotation is going to find very easy kills.
Yeah, the introduction of those early orbs really beneficial for a couple of heroes. One being the Spirit Bear, having well, if you want to have 2 different orbs, the bear and the other on the actual hero, and then the PA with the dagger applying that one, the Lightstone and the dagger damage. Insane toss back into Noya. They're actually going to turn and try and kill Limp here. Baby Knight knows he's not making out alive underneath all this shrapnel, but they don't get the second raise in, which means Limp's not threatened. He turns around and kills Rise as well, and Alliance's laning stage just seems to get better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. This is very well executed with the support play, and Anskin and EGM always being in the right lanes to have the impact they need. EGM's already got the money to pick up some arcane boots now, and I feel like now that you've kind of secured your lanes, your next goal is to maintain that pressure on the PA. Perhaps we see some kind of a smoke play down bottom with the 2 supports. Loda shouldn't need too much help up top. Doesn't get the last hit on the tower. Hesido does get the deny there. Loda thinks about diving. He is level 5 with an Entangle, could theoretically get this kill, but his bear is a bit too low for now.
I think because the supports are off map right now, a little bit scared. They could be winning up a tower, especially as it was dropping low. And bottom lane, kind of securing an Invis rune doesn't really do too much for them, but is C9. They actually just bottle, give the Invis to Rise, and they'll again on this mid lane.
Didn't get by the dire side, so this could be something Limp does not expect. No stun on the Ogre though, just the Bloodlust.
Yam comes in immediately. Limp is going to be stunned, turned around. Baby Knight hits a medium raise, and the long one will manage to finish up Limp. Yam as well. Fortunately, still no level 6 for Rise, no swap back, but Baby Knight might still be able to get him 2 right clicks and 2 raises is all it takes to kill. Or double kill for Baby Knight. This time, very good for, especially with Limp so far up. Yes, as experience.
Ooh, Ace at bottom getting dived.
He'd be in, miss. Oh, nice jump forward. Now Rise is here, and a crit, of course. Just add insult to injury. I'm sure he was dead anyway, but it makes it all the cooler. Ace outplays Yonazampan with a clutch Phantom Strike.
Yeah, nice little bait there, and Yonazampan getting close to getting the kill there, but at the end of the day, that's what PA does best, be very elusive, bouncing around, and suddenly things get a lot more equalized thanks to those last couple of plays there. Secures up the PA's early game, takes the sniper down a notch, and it was really all off of that Invis room. Very good strategic call, giving it to Rise and letting Baby Knight bait it out in this mid lane to set up on the sniper. So feels like this laning stage is looking a whole lot better for Cloud9 all of a sudden.
Minutes in. How's our good Dota totally free Baby Knight? Second, not too far away, and I think another important thing has to go is getting a decent amount out of his off lane. Gave him that secured farm in the first couple of levels, and he's turned that into pretty proficient neutral link. Should have a well-timed blink dagger, which we talked about that initiation. Important it is versus Alliance's neighbors.
Here's the big move bottom. They bring load in everything. It looks like Sniper may even consider coming down for a full 5-man. And with this creep pull, I don't think you want to be anywhere near this tower ace. He's amped up. Creep pull almost guarantees his tower going down. It'll be the second tower for Alliance. This one will presumably not be denied, and I don't think you even attempt to defend this one. You just take what farm you can get in the top and the middle of the map. They are drawing lines as if they want to go down towards that bottom lane, but the response has, it's already too late to defend this, so yeah, I think they realize they got to back off.
I think this is one of the, we talk about Lone Druid and how he does not have a very good timing of 15-20 minutes, but he does have a very good timing about around 10, where he's got his level 4 Spirit Bear, and I like the fact more and more teams are doing this. They move the Lone Druid into a lane, sort of like the way that like the Tide Hunters would get level 6 and they just move into a lane and they bully down a tower just via their presence and some damage hitters. And this is kind of similar. Dota gives them all the pushing power they need and also all the fighting power, so they just bully down towers. D9 played safe, waiting on their mid-game timings. They are going to try and dive Baby Knight here. They do have the Crows of Haze as well as the Assassinate, but Baby Knight, Jonas Upon's closing that distance. He has a crush coming up, but won't be able to catch him. It looks like EGM, he is going to be dying instead. Cloud9 to respond just in time. SF's life and
just a little bit too deep, and Slada, the 2 points in the sprint, not enough to close that gap. That is a good turnaround for Cloud9 Alliance. I mean, that's one of those like millisecond difference things. If Slada just runs in maybe a millisecond sooner, or SF is just like a fraction of a second later on his treat, do find that kill and potentially the tower as well. But all in all, Alliance still kind of poised to keep taking objectives. They want to bring low to mid. They can try and pressure that tier 1 tower. But C9 are starting to get some key levels and items themselves. They're just about to get that first Helm of the Dominator on Ace, and it's very useful to have for these early fights. If you can get something like a Frost Mage to give him some ice armor, even a Purge Creep just to help dealing, like to slow, constantly spam and slow people down, get rid of the amp damage as well. There's a lot of useful creeps Ace can find this game.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like they missed their timing there. I thought they would pull Lone Druid into the mid lane and they might be able to get that mid tower before the blink, but now it's up on Hesta Joe. Hesta Joe chasing Hanskin. They went for Smoke Gank, hoping to be able to catch Loda here. No such luck on the spins either, so Hesta Joe may actually die here as he's going to be slowed down, maybe caught by the Spirit Bear. Unfortunately, no entangles just yet. Noya's going to be the next one, still no entangle, and now the dagger. No pursuit now.
I have a question for you, Cap. PA hasn't decided herself. Do you think you max Blink Strike or Blur first this game? Because you max Blur for the Blink Strike first, the Phantom Strike. But this is one of those games where perhaps you consider Blur.
I think the Lone Druid is such a problem with his bear that you max out Blur.
Yeah. So like 4-1-4, you think?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe not the full 4-1, because I kind of feel like you want Strike still maxed out by like level. Yeah. Maybe a couple extra value levels. It's hard to say, right? Because then the headshot gets more value on the sniper.
I really don't know what the answer is there. And for now, he's gone for 2-2. He got a point in Blur at 8, then he went back for a point in Phantom Strike. It seems like he sees value in both and doesn't want to make a full commitment to maxing either.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Of those phase boots, and that'll be another big upgrade. As the potential for much larger crit damage is here. Hesta Joe pops his head out. Whoa! A little bit overshoots that Blink Dagger, misses the opportunity to get a call onto Loda. Now he's Savage Sword up. They go for the Blink backwards, but it's still not enough. The Assassinate damage is there. Loda actually gets blown up by Baby Knight, who was on the high ground, came down with double raise. They're going to finish off Hanskin as well. Ace is looking to be able to close the distance with Limp, while Jonas Upon managed to hit a crush and finishes off Noya. But now he's slowed down by that dagger. Headshot 1, slowing down Ace. Ace not quite in range for the Phantom Strike here. He's actually stuck in an awkward position. He needs help from his team, but Jonas, a Phantom Strike, but Assassinated here. They're going to finish it off, and Baby Knight can't actually stop that. He's got a Corrosive Haze, turns around 1-2, trying to finish off Jonas Upon. The ultimate is not able to go off in time, so instead it's the death animation that kills Jonas Upon. But Alliance come out big time, in part because of the Blink Dagger on Jonas.
Yeah. His Blink Crush is getting everyone amped up, made all the difference there, and Loda's positioning wasn't the greatest because he got caught from the high ground by the SF, but Sniper was the hero that went unnoticed. And it's one of the big problems with this Alliance draft. Like, PA and Axe can perhaps get on top of one of the two, but doing it to both is a much bigger ask. So while they deal with Loda very quickly and on in the fight, Sniper did 3.3k damage in that fight. That was more than half of the entire hero damage from Alliance, and all of that due to like the Slatter just constantly hazing people up, the Sable and control from him, and even the shrapnel being very well placed on that high ground.
Seems like C9, I think they did a good job. They gave up that safe flame tower. They did manage to defend mid. They kept their tier 1 up there, got the blink dagger, but you know, it was all good, all fine and dandy until they picked up that blink dagger, and ever since then, their choices and their initiations from C9 have been completely off.
Yeah, fighting around that bottom shrine was a very tough spot to go for it. That mid lane one was okay if they landed that blink call and instantly had the PA was TPing in as he went for it, but missing it really hurt them. So we'll see how this next fight or two go for them. They've got 3 points in the Bloodlust, so theoretically Ace can dish out a lot of damage very quickly. May look to wait for like the Desolate pickup, but that's still a decent ways off, and I think Cloud9 don't want to just sit back and idly farm while Alliance and give Alliance room to use their blink themselves, because Alliance are somewhat more teamfight ready.
Skin is baiting right now, but it does seem to be a little bit obvious. C9 not going to take that bait. You'll know some fun sitting on the side here with the blink dagger, and then they had EG Shrine who you're going to be able to pick up an urn. That is something that's missing, I guess, from their roster with a Slardar going for the early blinks, so EGM will get that sustain up instead.
Yep. It's important to have at least one in the team when the way these fights are going, and stop potential blinks from the Axe, so nice little pickup. Right now, Alliance, very good map vision around the Radiant jungle and this mid lane, so I imagine, yeah, they are going to be eyeing off this mid tier 1 tower. Cliff is already forced out, but it will be traded for top. Rise getting the last hit up there, and yeah, this Venge finding some farm here and there, so we'll perhaps provide a second helm with the Dominator.
Slow down Limp, and do manage to get a nuke on him. This is pretty good. Oh no,
we
a
missed
failed
again.
call from Hesta Joe. They get him on 4-staff backwards, trying to save his life, but with the assassinate and telekinesis, he's definitely dead, and that may be the opportunity for Alliance to finally finish off this tier. And Hesta Joe just having a rough game.
Yep.
This opening game. So 3 series initiation from Jonas Sampan onto Noya. Tanky, but the Maelstrom makes pretty short work of him. He does have an enemy battle hunger on him, but
And an urn, but no. Yeah, not enough mana for the assassinate from the sniper. And he would barely survive. And again, it was that high ground observer vision around that mid lane that really set Alliance up to succeed there. And well, fight goes well for them. That was one of those calls where like it looked bad that he missed it, but I feel like even if he landed it, the outcome would have been exactly the same, where he was just diving in a bit too deep, and that instant lift from EGM was going to catch, as well as the blink crash from Slatter was going to hit him regardless. So even if he calls the sniper, perhaps Limp gets down to maybe half HP and at least takes some damage, but I don't see that fight working well for Cloud9 either way.
It's like the initiation on Dazzle here. It's so far out there, and it's a single hero, call that's probably not going to result in more than one spin. It's just like not going to work out. That the game plan itself is flawed, not necessarily just the initiation. So
yeah,
Nine gotta get their heads into this a little bit better. If Alliance aren't going to take that tier 1 tower, if they're not going to force it, then there's no need to force a fight. I think C9 should be more than happy to farm at this point in time, because their big spike is not until 2025.
I mean, they're still a ways off a few crucial items, like the PA Desolator wasn't completed or anything. They don't have that great burst damage for whoever Axe calls, and that's really the big problem. Alliance have great heroes to play against the call, the instant lift, the blink crush, instantly disabling him, and I think more than anything, like the Dazzle heal, like you call someone, you suddenly take a heal bomb to the face as well. Hanskin didn't even level Grave early. The last fight around mid lane, he didn't have Grave at level 7. I think he got his first point at level 8, just because he's playing against an Axe, and he's like, this max heal is going to do more. Axe blinks on us, I heal that target, suddenly Axe gets it turned around on him.
A medallion of... That is... I mean, that's one of my favorite things about Dazzle, right? clear through waves with it when he does max out the heal. Push is pretty good, so he's actually got a nice chunk of change in his pocket.
Sneaky Alliance.
Pick up the haste.
Oh, is Hester Joe gonna blink in? He's there. Does he know?
Dire's bottom tower
Yeah, they've seen the bear now.
Wolf. You know about it. They'll lose their Wolf Commander. Oh, stun on Hester Joe, but Ace is sitting there at the shrine. Ready to jump anybody that overextends a little bit too far. EGM's going to be trapped inside the shrine, does receive a shallow grave. Hester Joe is not in the region to be able to get the Culling Blade, so it looks like a successful TP. In the backlines, though, Ace is trying to go for Limp, but he's now been stunned up. Hester Joe still trying to get that call, will manage to land it. He also get a crit out, but he's not getting any spins. So Hester Joe finally gets the Culling Blade back over to Loda, who's trying to 1 versus 3 right now to finish off Anoya. Hester Joe and Jonas Afan separate. Double nukes go on to the bear, finishing that one off, but Loda is just trying to ward C9 away from the Roshan pit. That bit will be successful. Alliance, is that actually a 1 for 2 trade-off in total? It looks like it.
Rubik got away with the TP out, but jump from Cloud9. I mean, even though you don't kill the Rubik there, you take him out of the fight. EGM could have perhaps TP'd to the shrine and used the shrine by himself, and then at least being able to get back into the fight, but even that, I don't know if it would have necessarily made a difference, so good execution there. And Cloud9 get a lot stronger. Just having like a Vanguard on the axe is going to make a big difference for his initiations. It means he doesn't get punished as hard. If he can land that call, typically he's going down as soon as he goes in. So this Vanguard gives him a bit of extra survivability. The Blade Mail going to be the next nice pickup. Oxy going to go for the Crimson Guard first. So recognizing it's all this right-click physical damage, wants some damage block for him and his team.
Okay, I'm done with that. At first, when I saw the Vanguard, I was like, I don't know. Blade Mail feels pretty good against Sniper and Lone Druid, but if he actually does get the completed Crimson Guard, I guess that does add a lot more viability to C9's lineup when they go for real push, and they'll have a lot more sustainability. Alliance poke.
Yeah, it reminds you of like the PA question, like, do you want to go Blink or blur, and I'm like, you really want both. Both have so much value this game. So I guess for Axe, it's like, well, where do you fit the Blade Mail? If he doesn't go back for a Blade Mail after Crimson Guard, I think I'll be a little dubious of. I mean, there is some other valuable items like a 4-staff, so you can Blink Call and then maybe 4-staff out of a tough spot, but I feel the Blade Mail is just such a fantastic item.
4-staff. Good reactions there from Baby Knight. He still got hit by the stun, but then on the high ground, he could turn around, almost finishing off Jonas Afan. Again, Hester Joe's not around. A dagger.
Got the Ignite.
Slightly ill-timed.
He's very low still, but the Dazzle heals will keep him healthy enough.
You have the Desolator, though, for C9. With Baby Knight completing BKB, I think they've reached their peak. They have the Crimson Guard completed as well for Hester Joe, so I think you've got all the items you need. Hester Joe and the rest of Cloud9.
Yep.
Shrine up, go for a push in mid. Almost.
Oh yeah, go. You'd love to take this tower so that you can easier take smoke moves like to the enemy side of the map, go into their jungle, and also secure yourselves Roshan. I think now, I mean, they've seen Alliance attempt Roche. Both teams really want to go for this Roche early. Venge doesn't micro the creep in the Roche pit, loses it, so that's kind of some scouting capabilities lost, but he gets another one. He finds an Alpha Wolf, and right now, Roshan is... Whoever gets this first Roche is going to be in a big strategic advantage, and I think even more so for Cloud9 because their Aegis carrier, the PA, is a hero that wants to dive in and play aggressive. Sniper or Lone Druid with an Aegis, it's like, well, they're sitting back, auto-attacking regardless. In any situation where they lose 1 life, they'll often lose 2. So if Cloud9 get an Aegis, they'll be poised to really start pressing it to Alliance and taking objectives, taking some big fights.
Especially since C9 have that potential for an second life with Baby Knight.
This next fight gets tougher with the Mjolnir. That's a lot of AoE magic damage. You can put that on the bear, you can put that on a teammate like the Slaughter when Jonas wants to blink in, so there's a nice boost to Alliance's damage output.
Almost have the completed Hurricane Pike Sniper as well. That'll really help out because these Blink Daggers, you mentioned the 4-staff, and I was like, man, he kind of does need a 4-staff just because it seems like his Blink may not be enough. Like, they can only smoke into these often, and they're dealing with 2 heroes that are sitting at 900 range plus. That Blink Dagger is only going to be able to cross so much of that distance, you know? So that Hurricane Pike is going to be another good example of how Alliance is going to be able to stay ahead of this one. The Mjolnir static charged up, Spirit Bear. appears inside the Roshan pit. Hurricane pikes it away, does get some damage in. There's a Hesta Joe initiation onto 2, catching Loda, almost finishing him off, but he can't get the cooling blade. He's been telekinesis and Loda's getting away. He does have Ignite on him, but a healing salve a little bit more. No, he still takes out, ends up dying there. Hesta Joe gets hit by an assassinate, so he's not able to make his initiation, and he'll gets hit by Jonas and Fawn. But Alliance do have to back away. Still there's the call.
He's gone in.
Hesta Joe does manage to catch Jonas, stalling up long enough for the rest of the team to get here. They hit a dagger, wasn't a crit though. So Jonas will survive. Hesta Joe back to base for him.
Radiant's bottom tower
Airs
is under
up,
attack.
assassinate.
Yeah, instantly losing the Aegis, but still good fight. Slatter's gonna TP right in?
He thinks that because Hesta Joe's gone, they can actually fight this one around, but
I don't know about that.
Limp in trouble. A long-range Phantom Strike does get on top of him. A stun out onto Jonas and Fawn, so they can turn onto that off-laner instead. But C9 are in an awkward position right next to that tier 2. Fighting into that shallow grave is a bit dangerous. They will back away. Hesta Joe will now join them for the team fight once again. Jonas.
That was a dubious TP.
I think he thought because the axe wasn't there, he's like, oh, Shallow Grave has so much value. Now maybe we can fight into them.
They were down. I guess there was there was 3 of them there with the Dazzle looking. Yeah, like you say, had the Shallow Grave, they had the Slatter as well as the Sniper, so they felt like they could fight. But yeah, the PA is very scary at this point. Has that level 15 now, so gets the life steal as well. And Ace will be working on that important BKB timing that we talked about during the draft as well.
Is Hesta Joe all rotten?
Handskin
towards the top lane. Handskin may be the go here. Yeah, they're gonna jump on him. Actually, can't get the Culling Blade out in time. The damage is too quick from Ace.
Loda, he's they're not gonna go on the bear instead.
Yeah, the Alliance do have Limp and Jonas and Fawn making their way over from mid lane. They may actually try and jump, but that's a bad idea. C9 are also bringing in reinforcement. Baby Knight is
Ace with the Ice Armor is got that extra bit of survivability. A lot of armor on him. I feel like this Dazzle does still need to use the Weave defensively though, because there's such good gap close with the Axe and the PA. Just putting the Weave onto Loda and Limp is probably the more important approach to taking a fight. But as it stands, C9, even without an Aegis, still looking to take it to the Alliance side of the map. We'll get a free tier 2 tower. Alliance are just looking for trades at bottom lane.
Jonas and Fawn is way there, but not too surprising that C9 that push go all the way up to the tier 3 tower, forcing somebody back. Defend their tier 2. Taking free tier 2, losing maybe a bit of damage on the bottom lane, but
Dire's middle tower is
as long as they don't get picked off while they're rotating around the map.
Fall back, Baby now restore some of his mana. About to hit level 18, so that'll be the level 3 Requiem in this upcoming fight. Not much ability to stop that because of the BKB. And
Joe, you ballsy as hell.
yeah, he wants that blade mail.
Farming up Ancients underneath the Alliance shrine like that. They had vision of them too. Well, now big increase in damage now. Initiation again.
Yeah, in the past he'd blink in, call, and then often get lifted up, Slatter crushed, and well, in the earlier fights he was dying, but even in recent ones he's taking a lot of damage. This blade mail really helps protect him. It's like a pseudo BKB in some ways where you pop it, people don't want to hit you or use stuff on you because you're going to get turned around on, so Alliance will have to be careful about how they approach these next couple of fights. Really feels like the PA more than PA and the Axe more than anything. You're just gonna, if they get on top of the Sniper or Lone Druid, the fight could just instantly be over.
One of the great things, PA used to be such a terrible tower pusher. Remember that? You know, it's like your damage was based, right? You didn't get SO back in the day, so. But now, this PA is actually an excellent tower pusher. Not just because of the Desolator, but also because of the fact that we've got Noya here. So that actually gives you that attack speed increase that you out on when facing building.
Yep. And this is the second last out of tower, so another one's going to fall. All that physical damage, and looks like Cloud9 Can't take shrines just yet. They will fall back,
Dire's bottom tower
cover
is under
themselves,
attack.
but both teams will be probably eyeing off taking those shrines as soon as possible if they can take all these outer towers. For now, both teams are just trading towers on opposite sides of the map. No Aegis means it's a bit harder for C9 to force a high ground push, but they're also happy to play a more farming game because they've still got a lot of room to grow on both PA as well as SF. PA gets a lot scarier with a Basher, SF get a lot scarier with something like a Butterfly for himself, or a Skadi, for example. A lot of just stat or armor items he can get to help out the team. Good AC game even, if he wants to go for that.
That's true. That's bad of an idea. Bear manning up against the Helma Dominator melee creep at 1400 HP.
Yeah. I like how Ace just doesn't even care what creep he's going anymore. He's just like, I'll just go send some creep to scout somewhere on the map.
It really just does not matter. The cooldown's not very long. Takes them a really long time to kill it. Doesn't give them...
Free mobile Observer Ward, you know? Observer Wards are one of the best items in the game. I mean, obviously, they're very cheap, but they're also limited source of them, and being able to move one around the map to scout everything is strategically very strong.
And then our other Helmadom creep here is giving everybody 66% increase in damage whenever Venge is around between her aura and the Wolf Leader pack.
Plus 201 on Shadow Fiend with his items and those auras. Not bad. And when he's not next to them, it's plus 106. So he gets an extra 100 right-click damage thanks to the auras.
Look at Ace. He's trying to dodge around the Savage Roar. He Phantom Striked in, only got one hit, and then immediately backed out. You know, he's like, okay, I stopped the return. Hit by Savage Roar.
Noya will stop it again. Yeah, that's a dead Spirit Bear. Where is it?
Dagger.
There we go.
Oh yeah, 746 damage.
No split push threat really out there on the map for Alliance, so they're going to lose complete control of their side of the map. Radiant Vision surrounds the Dire base, top and bottom, by their secret shop.
I know it's not a position that Loda feels comfortable with in this game. There is a lot of initiation, but I feel like he does always have to be outside to be giving that potential split push threat. Otherwise, C9 get control and they push high ground.
And the other, I mean, part of the problem for him is right now is he's not level 20 yet. Doesn't have that mighty 50-second respawn time because he's died in a few fights. Often it's been him dying and Limp surviving. He's just a little bit behind where he'd ideally like to be as a lone druid. And boy, Baby Knight is just been
There's a nice initiation with the BKB. PA throws out a dagger on Yoda some fun, but he's got to go Scepter. They are going to try and respond, but there shouldn't really be much made of it. Loda lone druid, they chunk of their damage.
Yeah, they'll take the free kill and back on out. Wait for Roche most likely with that respawn coming anytime in the next 3 minutes. It will be a relatively shorter side respawn.
Could creep waves. They do have this aggressive ward. Bounce out some of the options. That's good. Vanciano some fun. Misses the crush. And builds off.
He is ridiculously farmed for a Shadow Fiend. And it's not like he's been, I mean, he's been fighting involved in some of the kills, like he's 6 and 3, but I don't feel like he's been like getting massive kills in fights to get him farmed. He's just been CSing away this entire game. I mean, 290 CS, 230 on the sniper, but Baby Knight has been playing the farm game very heavily and is seeing himself well rewarded in terms of overall net worth.
Yeah, soon Baby Knight's going to be playing sniper light role himself with that 25 talent. He's going to panic, have great high ground pushing opportunities. Sees his Observer Ward being countered, but he wants to be able to go on Limp. Does get the blade mail out. Look at the damage that Limp's dealing to himself. Now Ace jumps in, finish off the job.
Oh, Handskin.
Handskin. Gonna get caught. Gonna get smashed by a dagger. Done so. Time to force some buyback.
Yeah, force buyback. Even without an Aegis, you don't have PA BKB, so Ace needs to perhaps be careful about hitting the tower, but until those buybacks come out.
Oh, immediate jump in, finish off EGM.
Okay.
Gets a decent amount of damage on the Spirit Bearer as well. That's going to be finished off by Baby Knight. Now, Hestejo needs some assistance. Force Staff 1, Force Staff 2, he does get out. Buybacks forced, Tier 3 tower down. As long as C9 don't get caught on their way out, this is looking like a perfect exchange.
Yeah, Ace gets low to the Assassinate, but he's still more than okay, and they can just head straight towards the Roshan pit off of that, knowing that there's still 2 dead supports, no Shrine for Alliance TP2. They don't actually scout it out. It looks like they may want to Shrine up first. Okay, there we go. They've seen it now, but Alliance are just so trapped on their side of the map right now. The Radiant Vision has been somewhat taken away. They're about to lose their 1 Observer Ward as well to the timer, but even so, I think Alliance are just playing too dark on the map to reliably make a move out.
I blinked and Roshan was dead.
Yeah, I actually moved my camera for like 2 seconds away to see what Alliance are doing, and then I'm like, whoa, Cloud9 weren't even in the Roche pit last time I looked.
Yeah, all of a sudden I watch Ace and he just like double crits and Roshan disappears. They pick up Aegis. Joe did a good job cutting that creep wave at bottom. There's a decent push coming out there. Puts a stopper in that one real quick. And Alliance, they're holed up in their base and they seem to be very confident, or at least more confident in their high ground defending ability. Split push, but I am not convinced this is going to go well for them.
Yeah,
I really feel like they need a threat.
Axe is just going to jump a Lone Druid or a Sniper if possible, and then that hero is instantly dead. There's no saving them with a Grave reliably. Perhaps a Savage Roar that's well timed, but even that is unreliable with the BKB up now on PA.
Oh no, Jonas Upon caught outside the base. Alliance are supposed to have this very treacherous high ground, but now they've lost their initiator. An offensive weave goes down. Cloud9 could wait this one out, still have decent amount of time where Slardar's dead. And could push high ground probably in a 15-second window.
I mean, they could go now, even with the weave on those heroes, because Ace doesn't have it. Ace is the one who's going to want to be diving in aggressively. Perhaps without the axe, it's a bit harder, but yeah, no bonus armor on Sniper. Well, Druid has to stay very far away. He's just trying to push out that top lane, and yeah, Baby Knight's in there with the weave wearing off.
Buyback is going to be used by Jonas and Pond, but the melee Rax is still going to be falling here. Baby Knight, helpful Force Staff. Ace is actually taking a lot of damage from Loda and that bear, but the bear dies, and Loda is now one for 5 seconds.
Satanic for Baby Knight actually works pretty nicely against the Spirit Bear. It's like a free heal up. Just if you pop the Satanic and start right-clicking it for a couple seconds, so very careful how you approach fighting. You've got the Crush and the Lift, but against Satanic you really need good, reliable, like consistent lockdown to be able to stop Baby Knight just healing back up once he gets down to half HP, and that's something it feels like Alliance, they're kind of lacking. I mean, maybe if they had more damage on Sniper Lone Druid, wouldn't be saying that, but it feels like his items are going to keep him well alive for plenty of time to get the Satanic off.
Esther Joe's actually going to get a BKB. Wondering what his next item was going to be. They don't have an AC hero right now, so I thought, maybe that would be his choice.
Yeah.
Allow him to ignore some of these disables when he initiates instead.
It's going to be a Manta style now on PA. May look to, he's going to replace the Helm of the Dominator and use that to help get rid of that Corrosive Haze.
Scotty finished up for Limp. That'll help push C9 back. Slows them down on their retreat. Maybe allows them to be able to get a catch. Tower's left with 9 HP, so the next time C9 push forward.
And still plenty of time left on the Aegis to
They know
stick
this
around.
bear is constantly off cooldown. So Loda, now it's going to be 89 seconds.
Yep. Makes a difference. Like if your hero's gone on, often you need to use the Savage Roar on your bear, or even the Savage Roar on your bear to save a teammate. So the roar on your hero itself is nowhere near as useful as the one on the bear. Slowly but surely, C9 are breaking through the Alliance infrastructure.
Slowly is apparently the key word here. They're not going to go high ground right now. I think the timing on probably wearing out. But it makes me wonder if they're not going to fight because Aegis is wearing out, if they're actually going to make another round of rush.
I mean, it's a full minute still. I feel like that's enough time to force this top lane. When the PA is like a little low on HP, there's no the BKB on Axe is the major item that's not there. Okay, so they'll have the BKB on Axe coming out in the courier, but it does seem a bit surprising, just like you said, how slow they're going, how cautiously they are. treating this high ground defense. But again, it's Lone Druid Sniper, two of the best like high ground defenders in the game because of their range. So now with the BKB coming out for Axe, they will go for it. Oh,
Back
miss
into the
crush.
keep we go. Jonas and Fawn misses his initiation. Will get out because of the Ghost Scepter. Another Manta popped. Ace gets rid of that corrosive haze. He focuses on one building. Baby Knight does the other. Ace dropping lower and lower. I think he's committing here. The Aegis is going to be failing soon, so better let it go down now. Hesta Joe looks like he got caught by a shrapnel and missed his blink there. Ace on round 2 pops his BKB, finishes off the melee racks, and jumps back to his teammates. Again, another clean escape from C9. Hesta Joe thinking about going back in. I think they'll probably call off, though. They got everything they wanted out of that. That's not
Yep.
to...
Wasn't anything pretty about that push, but it got the job done.
This should make my
The
life easier.
good old, let's pop BKB, right-click the buildings. Let's right-click the buildings while dying with Aegis. Nothing nuanced about it, but Cloud9 get the objectives and put themselves in a position to close out this game with the next Roshan. Wow, that's a very aggressive... I mean, I'd seen Loda queue up the Skadi, then he swapped to the BKB, and now he's committed to a Desolator as his item of choice on the Lone Druid.
It does feel like their physical damage is lacking when SF and PA are just hitting on those buildings.
Oh, another miscrush. Jonas is getting kited around by these Hurricane Pikes.
Smoke out, but it doesn't really comes of it. C9 can just play defensively right now. They've got top lane pushing in with super creeps. Mid lane will also eventually push in. Has to Joe goes for the force that forward. Managed to get the blink onto Loda. That's a big one. Culling Blade. Finish them off. No save from Hanskin possible with that shallow gray. Baby Knight. He goes for the other damage dealer, ignoring most of them. Forces Limp back. Now they'll finish off Hanskin. Baby Knight keeps on pushing Limp farther and farther back. Looks like Jonas and Pot did manage to get away. But now they're going to have to fight without the Lone Druid. He was level 19 still.
Oh.
Esther Joe. Okay, that was a silly death. Maybe Ace
what?
can make the better of it or not. He needs to pop his BKB here if he really wants to be able to jump on Limp. Does manage to get the bash. Maybe this is it. Force that forward. A couple more right clicks. They do get him. Jonas Afon gets stunned up. Now the ultimate let go by Baby Knight. Does hit the back lines. Limp is hoping to be able to finish off Ace, but he gets another Phantom Strike away. They turn their attention towards the buildings. Limp, he just cannot seem to outpush the damage to really force C9 back fast enough. It's just going to be a range racks left. That's it. Swap back. Limp is probably dead now, and Alliance will call it. GG.
Okay, that was a pretty close game one, at least for the start. It felt like Alliance, their laning stage, very good. That was really where they shined, but once we got to the mid game, we just started seeing the reliable initiation coming in from the Axe, and I feel like the supporting cast around the Shadow Fiend and PA offered more than like what Rubik Dazzle did in the mid to late game. Rubik Dazzle, very good as far as shoring up the lanes, giving Alliance a good early game advantage. We saw PA really struggle to find a lane to farm, but we saw the weakness of the support duo come mid to late game because they didn't do anywhere near what like the Venge was doing as far as having the swap initiations, amping up all the damage, that plus 60% damage, whatever it was, Noya with the Bloodlust, and Force Staff helping out the team. I feel like the cores functioned very similarly on both teams, but the supports were more effective from Cloud9.
It's
Alliances turn to ban. Radiant team ban. Alliances turn to ban. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Game 2, Cloud9 came up and looking for a repeat of the Lions last time they met. And we've seen 3 games now, Alliance versus Cloud9. What is it that makes Cloud9 so good against Alliance?
I think the first 2 games, it was very draft driven and Alliance going way too all in with some kind of gimmicky strats. That game felt like a more straight up game from both teams. I slightly preferred Cloud9's draft just because the last pick PA really acted as a nice counter to what Alliance were doing. So I think draft-wise, Cloud9 are doing very well against Alliance, but it seems like Cloud9 just make the more decisive plays come mid-game time, and they don't get thrown off by a bad early game. Like Alliance, when they had those bad early games against Cloud9, they fell apart. They also had drafts that didn't come back. And I feel like Cloud9 are a better team when they're under a bit of pressure. They recognize and use their timings better than Alliance do.
They do seem to have this practice coordination on Cloud that can't be beat by Alliance. Seems like that when I'm watching their team fights, you know, I'm watching the, excluding Hester Joe's awkward, I'm watching the team fights play out for Cloud9. I feel like the setup, you know, they have near perfect positioning for, you know, the high ground pushes. I feel like, you know, everything flows pretty well. The initiation happens. There's a follow up, you know, wham bam, you know, all comes together. Alliance, I feel like it's a lot more disjointed, you know, some fun jumps in, and maybe that's just the nature of a sniper lone druid in that there is a bit of overlap here, but I feel like there is a nice flow to the way that Alliance plays out these teams. It really does show when Cloud9 had such a strong mid game. They are going to get the lone druid into their hands. Ogre Magi first pick up for Alliance. C9 respond with LDCM.
I wonder if this is going to be like a straight up Ogre Sniper first too. It's probably one of the few situations where that Sniper first stage against the Lone Druid with an Ogre makes a lot of sense, but also they didn't have the most success last game, of course, using the Sniper, but this time around they've got the Ogre in their hands.
Reserve time.
Against the Lone Druid, besides the Sniper pickups. Unless the Alliance is really going to throw us a heavy curveball. Has to be the Sniper.
Radiant team ban.
Well, Cloud9 must, I'm sure, expected this and have some idea in mind how to deal with it, whether it's going to be something similar with the PA pick, or, I mean, at the end of the day, like the Lone Druid Sniper function very similarly. They don't have to deal with and address the Sniper just yet. I think both teams will be eyeing off some of those off-lane gap closers, heroes like the Axe. The Legion Commander could be potentially a decent pick as well, but the Axe is the big one where you engage him with that potential Vanguard or Blade Mail to back you up, and you're very hard to deal with, as we saw last game.
What about the Crystal Maiden pickup? Because that is also kind of an interesting. Cloud9 could have had a wealth of supports behind LD. Why CM specific?
Radiant team ban.
It's a comfort pick. I've seen them run it quite a lot for Rise, so I think that's part of it. It does leave things pretty open and enable a lot of the, I mean, their other cores. It doesn't actually have great synergy with the Lone Druid by any means. Perhaps they were worried about Alliance taking it. The Frostbite, kind of annoying because it's very easy to kill the Spirit Bear with it, but at the same time, if they took Lone Druid plus a different support, I doubt Alliance are picking CM in second. They still want to pick that Sniper. So I think more than anything, it's going to enable some of the later Cloud9 picks, rather than have any like obvious reason to be picked up with a Lone Druid.
Right, and what kind of picks do you think really benefit off of CM pickup?
I think for the offlane, like Sanking perhaps more so than the Axe maybe gets a bit more potent with the mana regen. And then looking towards the mid lane, and the Shadow Fiend is still viable here if you want to use it. I mean, like a lot of those just spamming mid laners who can just nuke out the lane, get rune control, start rotating around. I think what Baby Knight has been playing, he's been playing Viper lately, which isn't like the best hero to utilize the CM aura. Also isn't the best against the snipers, so not sure what he's going to end up on this game.
And so maybe with all this, the CM mana regen, and knowing that we're very likely to see some sort of spammers, that Cloud9 are going to play a kind of a split push game, you know, where they've got these kind of heroes that very rapidly push out lanes, and they're just able to buy time for Lone Druid to reach that later game. Because I do feel like that is part of the we saw in that last game, right? Is when the push comes in before you're level 20 for Lone Druid. And the last time, you know, Loda died. Last time he died, he was level 19. So close to that minus 40-second respawn, absurd amount, that he was pretty much at the max timer you'll ever see a Lone Druid at, and the push came in and just rolled over. Maybe Cloud9 are gonna try and shore up that timing. The pushing type heroes, and I feel like, you know, Sand King or Clockwork, you know, like those kind of heroes, they're very good at being able to take advantage of the CM aura, and Sand King especially is quite good at being able to go for these fast pushes down the lane, burrow strikes, and then, you know, kills the range creep and it all blows up. Earth Spirit's going to be the choice for Cloud9 here. A nice harassive 4 position for the mid lane.
I wonder if they're thinking Darkseer with this too. I was looking through, I was like, oh, the Darkseer is one of the few games that may actually make its way through after the second stage, but there's no Slider to pair it with. Alliance do have the Ogre, who it's like okay with, but the Earth Spirit is one of the probably better substitutes to the Slider to put an Iron Shell on. And Earth Spirit Darkseer, very good with the CM aura. There's a lot of pressure they can put on the lanes. Doesn't mean it's a CM like solo supporting the safe lane, but it's Lone Druid theoretically. Ace is normally the player playing that hero, so I think that's a hero that doesn't mind being a bit more independent and not having all that much support.
Shore up their lane. Although I guess they already got the Ogre mid, so maybe another support for them. Vengeful Spirit still out there as a nice repositioning type hero for both offensively against the Lone Druid and also to help up Sniper. And minus armor is quite.
Yeah.
Dazzle got banned, so.
Wonder if they're still considering Life Stealer without the Slider on their side. Loda had 2 wins with it yesterday. All right against the Earth Spirit, and yeah, it will be a Life Stealer, so can get caught by the silence, unable to rage it off. But if you're worried about like a Darkseer Earth Spirit dual lane, it's one of the perhaps the safe lane heroes that matches up better against the Darkseer than others.
All right, now what about this, Gods? Lions pick up for a vehicle because they can't have Slaughter. They pick up Clockwork, right? You hook shot in, you cogs, and he Savage Roars, but you don't go anywhere because you can't run anywhere. What about that counter, Gods? What do you think?
Oh, God. Imagine that hero inside's going insane. They're like, I gotta get back to my fountain. I can't. I'm trapped in here. That's how Dota 2 heroes will run into psychological issues.
Yeah. Seriously, though, he does need some sort of vehicle, right?
Yeah.
Alliance always...
It's... Sand King Axe, probably and Clockwork, Jonas actually plays a lot of Clock, more than most players, so... Could be that.
10 seconds remaining.
You gotta. I think the Sand King's more reliable, perhaps, as is the Axe. I think the Axe should be my preferred option, just because you go in the front lines, you pop your Blade Mail too when you blink in, and you're not as much like a Clockwork. You initiate in, and often you just end up dying, and your job's done. Like I think the Axe just has a bit more constant teamfight involvement and presence.
And it's better versus the Weaver as well, which we're seeing as a core pickup for Cloud9. So if he can get that Blade Mail, it's also nice because Weaver can't just Shukuchi run away. Blade Mail, or presumably Call, is still going to catch him with that AoE. Short work of the Weaver, even though picked up against that Lifestealer combo, work just as well.
Yeah. The main thing with these offlanes we're talking about, neither team's going to have like a mech buy or anything. We're not going to see any of those like utility offlaners to get those items. Perhaps Axe, you can get like a Crimson Guard or something for the team, but no mech Greaves buys unless you're looking towards like a farming support, which Cloud9 don't really have. Earth Spirit's thinking Blink Dagger, Ogre Magi perhaps.
10 seconds
We've been seeing
remaining.
some Ogres get decently farmed, seeing some Solar Crest come into play, but
5 seconds
does
remaining.
limit like your itemization come mid-game time as far as putting together those scary 5-man team
Reserve
fights.
time.
Well, Alliance, we talked about the many different offlaners that they could grab here, and Alliance apparently feel like they have enough options that they'll go for the eventual fourth pickup instead of banned or under. Knight ban away the Bat Rider as another kind of initiator does match up well.
10 seconds
Weaver
remaining.
and the Lone Druid, right? If you actually get the lasso, then who cares if the Spirit Bearer,
seconds remaining.
Savage roars you or whatever? You just run even faster.
Yeah, it helps you out. Yeah, interesting they target that rather than like one of those Axe Sand King. I mean, even the Clockwork I feel are all currently played and picked more. Worried about the laning stage where Bat Rider can pressure the lane a bit more than others against certain heroes like a Lone Druid. But there's the Darkseer ban, so won't see any Darkseer or Earth Spirit. Alliance and Cloud9 both theoretically look for their offlaners. Cloud9 could mix it up and like a core Weaver in the off lane, and then pick a different mid, for example, or even safe lane, depending where they want the Lone Druid to go. But it does really feel like they want an initiator. The Earth Spirit is like a pseudo initiator, but it's not all that reliable mid to late game time.
Reserve time.
Giants only have a little bit of time to decide.
10
Will it be
seconds
the Legion? Will
remaining.
it be the Clock? Will it be... What else did we say? Oh, Axe, that's
Axe,
right.
Sand
Axe
King,
was
yeah.
the best.
Radiant team
Hey,
pick.
I just assumed Axe was going to get banned, but...
Yeah, so did I.
So,
I guess both teams maybe thought they wanted it. Like, I feel like that's the hero Cloud9 wanted, so maybe they thought they could leave it in the pool, but...
10 seconds
I like
remaining.
Clock
see what-
here. Friends the Sniper a little bit. You're going to have
5 seconds remaining.
versus... I think most of all, you need your offlaner to be active here.
Reserve time.
Because Lone Druid and Weaver are both kind of slow. Need something
10
that's going to
seconds
be...
remaining.
Most of the other offlaners
5
have been...
seconds remaining.
Underlord?
Yeah.
Do we finally get to see the Underlord? Okay, well, they're doing the mid Warlock, the Baby Knight Classic.
All right.
This is like old school from them.
Weaver offlane it is. Warlock
Yeah.
versus the Lifestealer Sniper. Warlock is such a scary hero for any initiating duo like Axe Lifestealer here. They start going on somebody, all of a sudden a rock drops on them. They're fatal bonded together. They're slowed down as well. At least the Axe will be from the evil. There's going to be a lot of hard problems if Giants do not find that Warlock for.
Yeah, so we'll see how they fare there. There's not really going to be like a clear frontliner for Cloud9, which is, I mean, they don't have a clear frontliner or initiator, so I do feel like this draft of theirs doesn't necessarily scale all too well. Like, they want to have a strong early game, find some nice laning stage pickoffs using the Earth Spirit, the Crystal Maiden, and start taking objectives early whenever they've got rock bucketed by Alliance.
Prepare for
It'll be
battle.
interesting to see. This will definitely be a bit of a different pace from game one for C9. They're going to have to play a lot more careful about their timings. They certainly can't have the same kind of failed initiations that we saw in the beginning of game one for C9, because there are going to be few and far times between where they can actually initiate and fight into Alliance. Once we start going mid-game, it's going to be all based around that chaotic offering time.
Well, the early TP's mid. Noya sees the smoked up Ogre TP in because he saw the little TP circle, and yep, he guesses right with the ward. Immediate D ward. Nice heads up play from him, so gets the slight advantage because he TP's in first. And
Limp really needed that
30 seconds
ward
to
up.
battle.
Probably going to need the presence of Hanskin in lane a lot more. As that ward is down, the Hester Joe just to have it a little poke, seeing what's up. Alliance are all there though around their bounty runes, so we are just going to have a off, it looks like. Unless somehow the Spirit Bear can take the
Ace.
snipers, or really gonna fight into this
chance.
one. Fatal bonded up. This is gonna take a lot of damage. They are gonna try and turn onto Noya, see who gets the first blood first. Hanskin's away. Noya doesn't have the same kind of options, but he does have that Orb of Venom still on all these heroes. They are
Coochie.
all fatal bonded up, and they're all gonna take so much damage from that.
And yeah, Limp did manage to get his boundary. That is a huge chunk of damage there. That was a good, like, 1,500, 2k damage almost, it felt like, across those 3 heroes. Very crippling stuff. They don't really want to go to their shrine. The shrine is too far away. It's also the mid laner's shrine. You don't want to take the sniper's shrine, so they're just going to have to chew through tangos in this top lane. 2 tangos for EGM to get full HP, probably 2 tangos for Handskin. Same for the Life Sealer. That's like 6 tangos worth of damage just dealt right there. That is a very good start for C9 with the Fatal
And because Hanskin's not there, then immediately the Earth Spirit gets to go on Limp without fear of recourse, so they get a lot of damage now into Limp, force him to burn his healing self. As a whole, Alliance is almost completely out of regen already in the first minute of their laning phase. We'll see if C9 can abuse that some more. They have another roll in. Hanskin is here now, though, and this will a lot more even fight. I feel like the next bit of action is going to be when C9 rotate their Rise as the Crystal Maiden. Maybe they rotate him top and try and end, or maybe they bring him mid and keep Limp down.
Yeah, so he's jungled his fast level 2, gets the aura for the team. I mean, all that fighting going on, like that, this is where you're getting full value out of the aura. You want to be fighting and using spells if you're C9. Ace has an empty lane down bottom. He won't be using much, but the other 2 lanes are very active and trying to fight as much and often as possible. Now Baby Knight hasn't skilled up his heal though, but I imagine he'll be using that either for himself or aggressively fairly soon.
It's not quite the same, but Axe's Iron Talon jungling is, for the first 2 minutes, kind of similar to what it used to be. You don't have the quick suicide timing back to base, but you do at least get a pretty fast pair of Tranquil Boots. Hester Joe is going to be your first blood at top lane. Look, catch him with the single counter ward they have left.
EGM barely surviving through it, and poor EGM, itemless there, at least gets involved in the first blood to get him up to 400 gold, so can perhaps pick up some boots if he's not worried about the career upgrade. The haste through Noya is hunting. Oh, okay, he's not gonna go fishing for the kill onto the Venge, but he may find Loda for some harass instead. With the Rage, not sure they can get this kill. They may come close if they can harass a bit more though. They've got Swarm even as well.
Mr. Joe's really putting it to Loda right now, seeing if he could drop him low enough, but it's Loda plays back by time. Rosenfan has his boots, Tranquil Boots, now complete, so I'm not sure if level 4 is finally the time that you start laning up against Ace, but the push is coming and you none of that.
Yeah, you don't want to let this Lone Druid get a free tower uncontested by like 4 or 5 minutes in. Problem is, once Lone Druid gets his level 5 entangle, this lane gets very hard to manage. So it looks like Jonas is just going to keep stacking his jungle and continuing to farm.
Kind of playing it like the Enigma one. Druid, you know, half your time in jungle and then you just occasionally defend those pushes, but you never go out in lane against Druid. Don't give him that long lane to be able to there and go.
And now that he's shrined up, he will come to lane. He's actually higher level than Ace. Ace has been full on solo safe lane free farm for the most part. I don't think he's really even shared the XP. Yet Axter's jungle has leveled up faster. Just with that nice Iron Talon play, using his shrine as well to maintain his HP. Blade Hestejo wants the solo kill on EGM. Doesn't look like he'll find it. Sentry ward being planted. Poor EGM. Had 400 gold for boots, had to upgrade the courier, buy sentries, buy more observer wards, so he doesn't even buy the boots.
Yeah, both these supports are actually pretty poor. Having to use all their regen early. I'll pick it up boots just yet. CM is sitting here inside the jungle waiting for Jonas Sampan because it's become a pattern now. Jonas Sampan goes jungle, then he pops out as the push comes in, and this is where Rise will punish Jonas. And this is, as you said, because he was getting so much experience out of the jungle, be a very big kill. Level 6 Axe ends up going down.
158 gold each. That's a pretty decent chunk for this early on in the game, and probably more importantly, the tower as well, so, or equally important. So they'll get that early objective. Ace getting the last hit and all. That's his phase boots. He's all 6 now as well. Laning stage going very well for Cloud9. Roll in top. Rage it off.
Our mid lane, it's 5 minutes and our mid laners are kind of low in experience. That's just because they've been dual laning so much against each other. Baby Knight's just about to pick up his level 5 in Limp. His opt is to start jungling.
Yeah, both of them level 4 at this stage. Okay, level 5 now on Baby Knight, as you said. But top bottom lane, they've got another kill on Jonas. This Cliff Ward, they know exactly when he comes into the lane, and Rise. This is like the dream CM game. Like when your lanes aren't being contested and you get to jungle bit, you get so much out of those early levels. And the lanes are being heavily won by C9 as a result.
Nice roll in by the Earth Spirit, catches the Ogre. Baby Knight's image is way too big at this point. Shadow Words, level 3. How much damage is that? It's 350. Like, yeah, it's like 400 damage. That's a ton.
Significant.
That's a ton, especially for a poor little support who's maybe a little underleveled.
Oh yeah. Ace has already got this bottom tower down to well below half HP. And the Radiant Vision right now is very problematic. Rise is coming in, stealing neutral last hits. This ward at bottom and mid sets them up to take the tier 1 mid tower, helps keep Ace safe while he's just free farming bottom lane. Like, he's pressuring a tier 2 tower because he's got this amazing vision. Rise on this CM has been fantastic. I mean, the entire C9 team, everyone has achieved their goal coming in. Like, the Earth Spirits pressured all the lanes. Wars have all won their lanes, and Weaver's been disrupted up top. Every single lane has gone according to plan.
He's going to be caught behind the tower, but a nice ultimate gets dropped by Baby Knight, hitting on 3. That'll be limped down first. Loda is about half HP as well. With the golem on top of him, he's going to have to invest. Pops out, can't make it out alive. Has to Joe finish him off with Shikuchi, and will collect Hanskin's soul as well. Jonas some fun. It looks like he went for Ace, but in the back line couldn't finish him off, and now he will inevitably be kited to his doom. Tier 1 tower going to get dropped as well. This is apparently how you run a lone druid lineup. Goddamn, 7 minutes in. Yep. 2 tier 1 towers down, and a tier 2 almost down as well at 350 HP.
It's crazy. We saw this last time too with C9, because we were talking about like, oh yeah, Lone Druid will farm a bit more, take longer to come online, and then Ace is like, nah, I'm just going with my team. A 5-man at 6-7 minutes in the game, not worry too much about it. And very early towers taken. Great team fight. They knew Loda might TP in to defend that one, but they had the rock ready, and also they had the Lone Druid there, so they had 2 disables to go through his raids. They entangled him up. CM even got away, and if not for Loda using the Infest to just nuke down the CM, that would have been 0 kills for Alliance, but by using the Infest, he also sentenced himself to death, so very good objective taking from Cloud9 in mid lane. They'll probably play a little bit more defensively now while the rock's on cooldown. They've split up across multiple lanes, although I say that they've also got 4 heroes up top. It's just Ace really off by himself at bottom lane, trying to finish this tier 2 tower, knowing how low it is.
Yeah, Hester Joe actually popped his Shikuchi and ran backwards just to hide from the incoming creep wave, trying to disguise their push. That being said, there is at least one ward that will spot some rotations, and it looks like Jonas does see Noya, does manage to get the call with Loda and Hanskin nearby. They should be able to burst him down. The Weaver may be able to get some vengeance, though. He does have a good swarm on out. Rise is going to also be a target. Jonas with the extra Culling Blade movement speed, very necessary. Looks like he may get himself out. Shikuchi damage is going to be a little bit more. Loda's trying to help him out by eat that bug. There goes the armor, but it's still going to be enough. Baby Knight helps collect it through the Fatal Bond. So Alliance actually get 1 for 1, but they lose their offlaner for that support. As Joe running around still has his time lapse up, and his Shikuchi to be well far enough.
Easy escape for him, no follow-up dust or sentries, and they're going to get top tier on tower. I like that Ace, very selfless from Ace. He had the bottom lane free to himself, could have taken the tier 2 tower. He just left the creep wave there, hitting it to TP top for that fight. He knows that his team aren't quite as strong without that Warlock rock, so he needs to be there. And the end result is very favorable for C9. They have a close to even trade in terms of kills, slightly favored for them, but more importantly, they turn the kill into an objective. The tier 1 tower now gone. Every single tier 1 tower has been claimed, and C9 have fully taken over this Alliance side of the map.
And C9, when they were responding to this kind of pressure, right, they waited out until they had the Blink Dagger. Now, they waited out until they had the Blink Dagger on the Axe to be able to finally turn and protect their mid-tier 1 tower.
Yeah.
Here, Jonas timings have been delayed enough, in a large part because of Rise's influence as the Crystal Maiden, that he still does not have a Blink Dagger while a tier 2 is being challenged at top lane.
That is. It's also just how early this pressure comes in. Like, you don't expect Axe to have a 9-minute Blink Dagger. Axe's Blink timing actually looks like not too shabby, all things considered. Like, okay, he was Iron Taling jungling and like not being contested too much, but once you start losing tower, you lose some farm. You expect Axe to have like a 12-minute blink at a that's a reasonable timing, and he's going to have a 12-minute blink, but C9 have taken 4, basically 5 out of towers with how low the bottom one is in sub 10 minutes. That's an insane pace that they're playing at right now.
It does mean Alliance, when they get that blink dagger, if they can actually get some good team fights, a huge amount of gold will just flow into their coffers, because they've 7,500 gold lead right now for seeing one team fight could probably cut that in half if they get the right kind of initiation. Ace is not going to be caught out just yet.
He's got no TP out. He needs to either tuck himself in the trees or find some way to retreat through the lane undetected, which it looks like through his positioning he will be okay. Either needs support or needs to just wait that 20 seconds to TP out, and support is on its way.
The scan's really not going to tell them much, except for the fact that Ace is still here.
Importantly, Warlock doesn't have a TP though, so without the Warlock coming in, it could be a tough fight. But yeah, again, like I say, the scan is probably like one of those, well, someone's there, but the fact they haven't TP'd out makes you nervous, and it looks like Alliance aren't going to go for any diving. I don't think Alliance is in any kind of position to go for dives. Loda isn't there. Loda's level 8, he's under-leveled and under-farmed, doesn't have his armlet. I mean, everyone on the Alliance side is somewhat under-farmed, outside of perhaps Jonas, you'd argue. And the result is that they do not want to... They want to go for pickoffs and smokes, but they don't want to have to dive towers where C9 are already set up to retaliate.
This is not the same Loda, Midas lifesteal that we saw in the games versus Amas. They are going to go for that Infest gank now with the Blink Dagger up on Jonas and Fawn. It is so crucial that this initiation goes well for them.
They've got to catch Baby Knight, I feel.
Yeah. They've got to stop this chaotic offering from being dropped. But I'll run into other heroes first.
Ace is in melee form, just giving himself extra survivability. Rise very well positioned in the trees. Baby Knight, though, is a bit vulnerable here. Does have the point booster for some survivability.
Oh yeah, managed to get a silence off on EGM as he's the first one to pop it. Goes straight to his shrine. They do manage to catch Baby Knight. Can they actually kill him before? Culling Blade gets dropped. And there is going to be no chaotic offering in this engagement. Alliance now still have the opportunity to push out here. Hanskin threatening Ace as best he can. They do have some damage dealers, so they can at least finish off that Spirit Bear and catch Hesta Joe. Nice play by Jonas and Fawn. Still managed to get the stun onto him with the Assassinate, but they lack counter vision after the Assassinate has faded. But, yeah, so they did get Baby Knight. Not the huge win we were really hoping for Alliance, but that was about a 1,200 gold.
Is under attack.
Yeah, it's as good as it's going to get for you. I mean, it's like a... You take that if you're Alliance. Like, you need to get something. You need to make sure you win that fight. Problem is C9 already back, pressing the lanes. Low Druid's coming down mid, and that is not where you want to be in GM.
C9 literally charging at the lane. They die. They're like, all right, we just wait for Baby Knight to come back, and boom, straight down mid, straight to the tier 2. I mean, that fast kind of play clearly catches Alliance off guard, gets him. They're also out of position to defend this tower.
That's it. More than anything, it's Alliance. They're not set up to go for that smoke play again. Like, ideally, like they don't have long cooldowns they're playing around, but it's the positioning. Like, they see Loda at bottom. They know that he is currently not infested in an axe. The one thing they're scared of is when Loda and Jonas are missing from the map, potentially smoked up and blinking on the Warlock, as we just saw in that bottom fight. That's the one thing that can win Alliance a fight. It's like the only win condition for a team fight they have. And as long as you see like one of those heroes on the map, you know you can safely push. You get the last side of tower. Now you start taking shrines. Now you set yourself up to take Roshan. And if you look at that being the way you lose a fight in your Cloud9, you could theoretically even give Baby Knight the Aegis just to protect him from that jump.
Swarm will push Alliance. C9 probably going to start setting up for a push in bottom and protect that other shrine. But Jonas Fawn with the haste ring is going to run into Noya. Maybe they could quickly burst him down. Magic Missile is just not enough. Assassinate's coming out. That'll bring Noya a little bit lower. Jonas Fawn may be able to jump back in and get that Culling Blade, but Hesta Joe is charging in deep, and he's trying to cancel that Blink Dagger. Loda actually receives the Savage Roar, stopping his TP, so now he's the next one in trouble. And I don't think Alliance have the turnaround potential. He turns, fights, tries to go kill the Spirit Bear, but Jonas Fawn and Limp are going to leave him to die.
Problematic. C9 probably too early in the game to really turn that into objectives with the low respawn times. Well, the Shrine perhaps a pseudo objective. Jonas is still positioned at the bottom. He's going for this. That's a lot of creeps. Savage
There's a
Roar
Savage
on
Roar.
cooldown.
Chaotic Offering is also going to be dropped there to help save him, and they do get the entangle to stop the TP. Gonna some fun high risk play, had some high reward opportunities to it, but
Yeah, I don't mind him going for that play. You're in a pretty desperate position as it was, and I think without that rock, it would have been very close to a kill because the Savage Roar was on cooldown on the Spirit Bear. So without that available, it was a bit of a dicey situation for Ace, but heads up play by Baby Knight, just dropping the rock. Your lone druid going down is a pretty big deal at this stage, since it will just slow down the tempo you're playing at, will delay the Roche, delay a couple of item timings, delay potentially even looking to break the high ground, so now you've just got to sit back, wait for that rock to come up. You can theoretically, even take Roche without the rock because of Alliance being so much on the back foot, and you've got the Swarm as well, Spirit Bear to take it with.
Done. He killed. No, not even the Warlock Golem is going to be a pickup for Alliance. It actually just dies naturally at 100 HP.
Gives all the vision Cloud9 need to know they're not being contested with Roche. They even scan the shrine to make sure, well, there's no shrine there, but they scan anyways to make sure nothing's going on. And Alliance is like, oh, I wonder if they're Roche. Let's scan on top of it. But until they leave the pit, scan tells them nothing.
13-4, C9 already one game up in this series, and they're 10,000 gold ahead in game 2. Get even though.
Here is the Hail Mary from Alliance. They smoke up into the Aegis. They know there's no rock, and I think having no rock is more important than there being an Aegis on the other team, so it's the right time to go for this kind of a play. Can find a core pick-off. Even a Weaver saying would be nice. Weaver's going straight into the Ag Scepter as a core hero, and I think with good reason.
Ace. He does manage to get off the melee form. That's going to make him so much tankier. The kick actually misses out. They are still pursuing this one. At the same time, Alliance went on top lane. God has to Joe. Noya's going to be turned out here. Ace is going to be losing his Aegis here. If Hanskin has his way, the heal is barely doing enough. Now the Savage Roar plus Frostbite. Somebody finish him off. A Wave of Terror to do the trick. Now he's going to come back in range for him. They don't have a whole lot of stuns. EGM's out of mana, but Baby Lim can still do it. It gets enough right clicks in. Needs a little bit more for the Assassinate to finish him off, and Ace not going to go down. He manages to get away.
Some bold play pays off for Alliance. The smoke gank was actually up top. They caught the Weaver farming the lane up top with the Axe Lifestealer duo, and then that fight around mid lane. There was no Weaver. There was Warlock Rock still on cooldown, so very well played by Alliance, just striking when Cloud9 are slightly weaker, despite there being an Aegis. That also stops there being an Aegis when the rock is back up, so you're less afraid of having to defend your high ground now.
Yeah, you know, I was watching top. I was like, all right, the smoke gang's heading up to that Aegis, but it worked out. Yonosapon's going to be chased down here. He's got the swarm on him. He doesn't have any way to blink out. Looks like it could be his death. Ogre and Venge, they're just a little bit too far away.
Time lapse even just to get rid of some of that spin damage to make sure they can keep potentially applying pressure here. Ace goes, this Mjolnir complete. No, goes for the Hurricane Pike first, so wants to be able to positioning item. And C9 with Aghanim's Warlock likely going to be eyeing off a team fight of some sort. The easiest to force that fight on a high ground push now without an Aegis. The Lone Druid can try and sit back with his range advantage just to hit the buildings. But I think for Cloud9, they'll actually slow this down a little bit and only take fights outside of the Alliance base, at least until they get like another core item or two.
Funny, we talked about the Lone Druid and Weaver and how they would need time. Cloud9 just don't play that way in the beginning. They use the Lone Druid to take all these outer towers, and now if they want, they just sit back and farm for days.
Yeah, they got double Midas on supports. Like both CM and Earth Spirit will scale pretty nicely, and more importantly, get all their key levels. So by the time they go for that high ground ending push, these heroes will at least have like all their basic spells maxed out. CM can benefit a lot from having like the max out Nova as well as the Frostbite, and get a couple luxury items on these supports. Warlock eyeing on for Refresher now as well. So there's really no rush for Cloud9 because of the strategic advantage they're in, and I mean the double minuses, the farm advantage is going to get bigger and bigger as well.
switched up to a Scythe. I'm definitely feeling Refresher's a little bit better for me.
Yeah. So do I.
Yeah, whatever.
But I don't think whatever item he gets at this point doesn't matter. You know, I feel like he could, I don't know, get a Desolator and be fine. But they're in a very dominant position. But yeah, the Refresher to me seemed like the reliable way to end the game.
Maybe he'll have a quick reaction, stop some funds. Blink initiation. He is trying to work on a Blade Mail right now. They're backing up Limp as he tries to go for his push at bottom lane, but a Radiant scan. C9 did have an idea of what Alliance were up to. With scan, Limp trying to team fight.
They're gonna bait this anyway? With the Rock. Yeah, I think they will with the Rock there. If Hesjo gets gone on, you can easily turn it around. Bring an Infest, Lifestealer, and the Axe engaging into a Rock would be a disaster. But Alliance also figure out what's going on with their scan, so they will safely scurry away.
Alliance make the read as well. They back up. Farming time both sides, but it's always be a bit more efficient for C9 with Ace on the other side of the map towards his.
Yeah, C9 are farming more of the map. They're farming with Midas's, but Graph has somewhat plateaued out, at least over the last 5 or 6 minutes, with Alliance able to put together a little bit, get a couple towers here or there. Still feels like their way back into this game is very limited. The Lifestealer is not really scaling very well, and he's never going to match up well against the Chaotic Offering or the Lone Druid, so it's going to be and even the Weaver, it's going to be very tough. And that initiation of alliances with the infested Lifestealer will get taken away with an Axe Weaver.
Oda, get here fast! We need your damage!
Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, he walks back in.
Alright, Yoda Saban, don't try and chase. He's gonna get hit by a boulder. Eyes out the broadsword for his. At least he won't lose gold here.
Yeah, when this Weaver gets an Axe, which is coming sooner and sooner, that Blink call with Infest Bomb is suddenly gonna not work so well. Unless it's on the Weaver himself, but often they want to go on the Warlock. Like that fight at bottom where they kill Warlock, that just doesn't happen anymore with the Axe Weaver.
Yeah, that really is the triple threat, right? Ace is squishy and deals all this damage, but he can't jump in because there's the Axe Weaver. Go on the Axe Weaver. There's the Warlock Chaotic Offering that's going to be dropped on you instead. Hey, this is a great last pick. Switches things up quite a bit for C9 and for that whole bomb situation. Now we're going to get an action here. Good start for Alliance, managing to bring down that Spirit Bear. Still can't deal with Ace, the true sniper of the group.
Yeah, they're melted. They traded Bear for some decent damage on a tier 3 tower, but boy is that Bear squishy with the minus armor from the Howl and the sniper hitting it. Painful thing is, even with the Mjolnir on it, like the range of the sniper is such that he's not even getting hit by it, it looked like.
Dota finished up his Desolator. He's close. So big upgraded damage. They need this kind of burst. They need to just be able to pop someone before Cloud9 can even react.
Yep.
As to Joe before he picked the bag on himself. But as I say that, he backs away from him.
Yeah, so see what Alliance can do with the Desolator, whether they try and get aggressive or if they're going to perhaps worry more about the next Roche. I think testing that would be ideal, but also vision-wise they don't have much spotted around that part of the map. Does feel like Alliance is just happy to kind of split the map a bit, have a couple heroes farming and pushing top, same at bottom, and they're just trying to use what wards they have down in this bottom side of the map to not get caught out.
They gotta find some way to a 9 to split up, and because ultimately I think they split up and then they farm and everything. That's all good for Alliance. They do need some recoveries. I think ultimately what they're going to need here is a pick-off to really buy them some.
Yeah, the cores seem to be keeping up like decently well. Like the difference has been maintained, but it hasn't increased, but the supports, the minuses, they're kicking in slowly, and yeah, the split push from Alliance is getting them some. Oh, I mean, it's more like a split farm than anything. It's getting them farm, but it's not creating that opening back into this game. So
they win that pick off. They're gonna have to do it so soon. Roshan's up, and that probably means C9. As soon as they spot that, they're gonna group up.
And Rise scouts it immediately, so that's a useful position for him to be in. He's got the wards to try and set up around the pit as well. Make sure there's no dire ward on the cliff, and him and Noya are ready to set up for this one. If they see a couple heroes at bottom, I imagine we'll see and just go straight into that Roche. Probably won't be too afraid. They've even got the Spirit Bear out scouting. Speaking of which, he's trying to steal bounty runes with it, and he will get it.
Got it.
Paid for. Okay, that's not worth 300 gold to the enemy team for a bounty rune. No, thank you.
Oh, they go straight into the pit anyway, it seems, with a double damage on a... Oh, he doesn't have a Spirit Bear. This is actually kind of risky for C9. They're trying to push out, see if they can catch EGM. They will manage to slow him down, hold him in place. Now, they are going to be comboed up here, sandwiched between Limp on one side and Loda on the other. Noya does manage to roll his way.
Ace wants Roche. He doesn't want to help.
Ace is now brought Roshan down to half health.
He's winning the 1v1 against Roche. Roche just, I don't know what happened. Buff after buff, Roche still seems easier and easier to kill every patch.
Especially right now when running so much minus armor, physical damage.
Yeah. Well, now Alliance's high ground defense will likely be tested. Warlock's Scythe of Ice will be completed. Another Midas, and a couple of creeps. And item-wise, what else are they waiting for? The Skadi for Ace is almost there as well. He's just like 1,000 gold short of that, so likely wait for these next couple big items to complete, and then the word will probably be, let's go. Let's end this game. They've got the Ags on Weaver, and they'll potentially find a pick-off now. Jonas, Blink from the Urn. All the
Urn,
nice.
and now the bag. Hi, Jonas and Fawn. And Joe even gives Noya that full heal.
Healing back up and push stuff back out. Crew's at the secret shop, so that's going to be Baby Knight. Don't think he needs to save for buyback at this point. There's not really any point. If you're pushing and you die, you buy back. It's not like you're TPing in or anything. So, and Lone Druid very close to his Skadi.
Oh, smoke his pops. Alliance, a bug, immediately skedaddle. Everyone to the trees, Get away, Ogre, everybody. All right, we're all good.
Doesn't have
except
one.
for Hanske.
He's trapped, not pretty low level, so if he does die, he'll at least hopefully be back alive for Alliance before the high ground push comes in, but doesn't look like he's gonna get caught out. Question is now, which lane and how do C9 go for the high ground? Are they going to push in multiple lanes and try and split Alliance up? Do they just try and 5-man brute force down a lane? Spirit Bear is proven to be very squishy, so he may wait till he has he's going to have a resummon fairly soon, in 55 seconds, so perhaps that and the Skadi is what they're waiting for.
Got the Skadi on the bear.
Oh, that's...
One way to tank it up, yeah, I guess. All right, there we go. Like, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah, that's...
Oh, they're waiting for level 22. He's so close to it.
Yeah, that actually makes total sense. And theoretically, you're like close to having 3 lives or something, but this creep wave will just about be his level 20.
Can't see experience.
Oh, when you hover over, yeah, that's true.
Come on, Valve. You know what they also need to do? Update the draft screen. My God, is that screen boring. I turned in to watch a game the other day in Dota TV, and it started off the draft screen. I instantly turned it off. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Well, I just want all the bugs fixed with it as well, like with the arrow pointing the wrong way and stuff, but...
Fortified.
I sent a bunch of feedback with like all the different bugs and stuff that need fixing, and they were like, "Yeah, we're working. It is being worked on. There is a new drafting UI coming soon, apparently."
Oh, the swap, Baby Knight. He's the target. Not quite the combination they really hoped for. He can get off the ultimate now. He turns around, sights device, up EGM. Now the golems will have their way with him, or maybe not. Loda defends EGM's life, kills one of the golems, almost gets one of the other ones. Now Jonas upon managed to almost catch Ace. What was that? He get a force staff right through him. EGM, nice silence the back lines. Frostbitten up, but Limp is still shooting as the Assassinate managed to finish off the CM, and now the Aegis falls from the Lone Druid. Well, they're gonna go for it though. They don't have a bear, but they do have a numbers advantage. 4 versus 2. Again, Limp, Lifestealer.
Golems just melted.
And Baby Knight has some long range with that sight device. He's actually just gonna try and TP away. That was weird. That's one form of initiation, I guess. Good kick forward. Noya trying to help out his buddy. Has to joke, get your ass out of the way. Ace is trying to make his way through, trying to say, hey to Lifestealer. He'll be good.
I feel like this is the point where, I mean, saying in the draft we talked about how neither team's going to have that like team fight utility items. This is where it hurts C9. Like, if anything, it feels like Earth Spirit or even CM not having like a Vlad's, not having a Crimson Guard. They have no like plus armor items or like a mech even to help them out. Like those golems just melt. Any hero that gets caught out, like Warlock, just looks like paper there with his low armor. I mean, he's not low armor, but he's not high armor. He's only got 8 armor, no bonus armor. So if they have items like Crimson Guard, Vlad's, Greaves, those kind of pushes are a whole lot easier. But that's something they just don't really have the heroes or lineup to go for. But I feel like some other teams, like if this was like Puppy or someone playing Earth Spirit, he'd have a Crimson Guard right now with a Solar Crest. And that Solar Crest would be getting put on the Lone Druid or the Spirit Bear. Crimson Guard would be getting popped to help go for those pushes, and I feel like that's something that C9 are just lacking.
Lions gonna do C9. Wait for the chaotic offering. I won't imagine they're gonna wait for another Roshan, so Lions better come up with a game. Last defense was okay, but a whole lot better as they start chewing through those buybacks.
Yeah, we'll reach a point where C9 slowed down as far as how much they do scale. Warlock is going to go for the refresher, so we'll see the double rocks come into play. But I mean, Sniper, amazing at killing those rocks. If he's sitting far enough back, he'll kill them very quickly. We saw how fast Loader can deal with them as well. So if he gets that refresher like at a later stage of the game, it won't necessarily be a big game winner. But C9 looking to close things out, find an easy pick on EGM. There, they can do in response, and they are grouped up around this mid lane.
Radiant's top
I kind of wonder if
attack.
C9 are just gonna I will out here. Single high ground push.
Yeah.
If Alliance defends another one, and they have to wait out on Sean Aegis. Hey guys, we need that extra life. Alliance, they're actually going to get really big. Like, Limp has the Scotty already complete, and that it is very dangerous item to push into just because the retreat is so much harder.
And it's the fact that both Load and Limp have Bloodlust as well, giving them additional chase and additional damage output. And Skin caught out.
They're
Kick won't land,
but
they are, but they're not like the big picks, you know? It's not Loader, it's not Jonas, it's never Limp. Limp is always very far back, and I feel like eventually it's one of those games where it's like, okay, Cloud9, they're not really getting enough, they're really starting to break high ground, but all it's going to take is one key hero pick off, like on Loader or on Limp, and that's like the game one right there, potentially. Even if they have a buyback, if you can get on the high ground as they buy back, you've got the position, you've taken away that high ground defender's advantage, and suddenly the game can just be won right there. So it does feel like we're just like one big pick away from C9 winning the game, but at the same time, if Alliance continue to play in position well, Limp, may find himself caught out here. There is a kick.
Oh no,
Noya. Guess is wrong.
You're setting it all up, cause you're like, we're just one pick away, and that pick almost happens.
That was no buyback. That was game over right there. Like, okay, maybe Alliance don't GG out, but they lose. They would have probably lost 2 lanes of racks if that pick happens.
Dead. Going to have Loda picking up perhaps a Assault Cuirass before this high ground push ever comes in from Cloud. So
Yeah.
it's getting a little risky. I kind of have to wonder if Baby Knight's choice of getting a sight device, which I feel has not been effective yet.
What's this item even do for a Warlock? You're not an
I
initiating
don't know.
hero.
It literally
I don't know.
killed him because he ran in and sight devised up a sniper, and then buyback happened and he got inside the case. You know, it's like if he had Refresher in that one team fight where he drops it on 2 and hits EGM, and if he drops another round, like EGM is surely dead. They keep Lifestealer a little bit controlled as well. Bear may die again here. Ace is actually going to be without a Spirit Bear for 2 minutes. Now the initiation comes in. Noya actually not hit by that one. Does manage to get a stun up onto Lim. Lim's caught in the corner. Swap back. EGM does save his buddy. Lotus now going to be sight device. There's the use of it. Ace is controlling him. Oh, freezing field. The right-hand side almost brings down 2, but it's not good enough. Not going to last. Yonosafan desperately chasing onto Ace. They need to be able to get these backline heroes. Yonosafan, he will end up going down. Loda fights it out with the golems and finishes them off, but Hesta Joe is here trying to clean up, and Ace is on his way as well. Alliance, they're not healthy enough to be able to fight this one anymore. They need to leave. Loda needs to get out. He needs the armlet toggle through all this, but it's not going to happen. As Joe, he gets stunned up, but he does manage to get off the ulti. He will survive. Limp is up to defend against this, but Loda does not have buyback for 70 seconds.
That's some ballsy play from Rise's CM. He just goes blinking in on top of the sniper with the frostbite into freezing field. It was after Limp got swapped out. Limp was in the perfect spot to just clean up, win that fight for Alliance. If not for Rise's play, he throws away his life there, but he gets Sniper down really low, gets Ogre down low as well, and forces the Sniper to use his Hurricane Pike defensively. That really salvages that fight for Cloud9. So very good aggressive play from him, even though he doesn't get the kills and he ends up just dying. Make sure that Cloud9 can come out on top, but again, it's not a big enough fight victory for C9 to actually get a lane of Rax or anything, and still Alliance feel like they can press out and push forward. This is without Lifestealer. They want to make sure Roche isn't happening, and he hasn't respawned yet, so will play out into their favor. Well, unless they want to get Roche, but I don't think they realistically could have killed Roche in a timely enough fashion.
Smoke down though, and C9 won't got an Arcane Rune too, so this means that Spirit Bear is going to have a lot less cooldown. Oh, Hesta Joe just runs right into Alliance as a 5-man. That's a huge pickoff. That Ags upgrade on the time-lapse is so critical for C9.
That's as Roche respawns, but it's very risky for Alliance to go for Roche, even with the pickoff, because they're right by that Radiant Shrine. A potential buyback can come in from Weave. I say that, he just buys out some items. He buys a Diffusal, so not sure that is the play to spend your buyback money while you're dead, but either way, it doesn't look like Alliance are going to go for Roche. As I said, it's very difficult for them to go for that. They don't know the Weaver's buyback status, and their lineup does not kill Roche in a fast enough, timely fashion.
It could also be that the C9 have made the call that if Alliance do go for Roshan, we don't contest, and that could be because of the Chaotic Offering still being on cooldown.
True. It's just about to come back up. I feel giving them this Roche is...
the Refresher plus Arcane Rune too. If that timing was just a little bit closer, C9 surely would have contested. If they were like, oh, Roshan's going on now, and we have Chaotic Offering with the Chaotic, with the Arcane Rune and a Refresher, like, oh, that's go time, baby.
Yeah, I think you're right that they just didn't. They made the call not to contest it because they didn't know Roche was so long away from that Alliance were taking so long to actually. Because if they committed 20 seconds earlier, then they wouldn't have even been close to that Chaotic Offering cooldown. But now this game is suddenly a bit more open, and the win potential for Alliance is definitely there with the Aegis on Limp. They've got the Cheese as well on Loader. They're hunting through this Radiant jungle looking for picks, and be careful if you're Cloud9.
That is Yonosafan just not see Rise. He's been like, they've been kind of tracing each other through this whole entire jungle, and Yonosafan has just not been at the right place at the right time to find this free kill. Maybe they'll spot him now. All right, Rise, it's away.
Warlock cannot afford to get caught out in these fights now. Has the Refresher and does not have the buyback. This is the worst possible time for him to get initiated on. Does have the time lapse, so there's a lot of pressure on Hesta Joe to make sure if he does get jumped on that you get that time lapse off.
I like this attempted play by Alliance. Drop the ward and keep running, and then see if they have the opportunity to, as Cloud9 go blind area, but doesn't happen there. One of the things that does seem to be lacking is that Ace is really not hitting that hard, considering how far up he's in net worth. And he will have a very large damage upgrade coming in, and he's got the Daedalus queued up. Just buyback as well.
Yeah, looks like Alliance have very good info as to where Cloud9 are. They had a lot of wards around that top river area, and now they get an Arcane Rune, so 7-second cooldown on the Berserker's Call. May tempt them to try and find a kill or lead a fight. They're gonna ping out Ace here.
Savage War, they need a good one. They're not going to get it fast enough. That means Ace is going to be caught. Loda is going to gobble him up. The Assassinate helps give him the extra bit of damage needed. Now,
1,300 gold.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
40 seconds with that minus 50 seconds. Hestejo is threatening the split push with a Desolator, so good news is if you don't want to buy him back, you can potentially trade Rax if you're C9. And they can delay things using the Chaotic Offering, although if you drop the rocks now, you'll just be feeding them away, but it will delay things.
They are going to have the TP back. They're going to see if they can save their melee racks. The Chaotic Offering does go down. They've actually got a melee racks, and they managed to save their own. Range racks goes down as well. Alliance actually lose out on that exchange. A huge pick turns into C9 getting a lane of racks, and all Alliance get is a tier 2.
Yeah, Loda life steal invested into Jonas to get the TP out, and it was Baby Knight was just like a fraction of a bit too short with the rock to catch the Axe TP, but even so, ends up fantastic for C9. Hestejo's even going to get out of there, having all these items on him. He's been able to transition out of the Axe Scepter into some right-click damage with both Deso and Diffusal Blade. I think Alliance just completely underestimated his split push potential, thinking, oh, this is an Axe Weaver, he's not going to be able to do all too much right-click damage, and suddenly it's Alliance down a lane of Rax, something Cloud9 had struggled to do for 40 minutes. They had Aegises, they had every single big items they could hope for, and it's like, man, we can't take a Rax. All that needed to happen was for Lone Druid to die, apparently.
Radiant's top tower is
Only
under
when
attack.
Alliance is winning, they still lose. We're going to have them 5-man push out and take the tier 2 tower. They at least still have a better opportunity than they did for almost this whole entire game. Even if they didn't get that lane of racks, they are still getting some map control. They're taking some of these outer towers. It gives them the opportunity. Another win, another pick could lead to them catching a whole lot more. Now they try and catch Ace. They try and get that pick immediately after the push in top lane with TPs coming in, but they're just shy of being able to get Ace with the call. He gets a 4-staff out.
And it wasn't just Ace, it was Hestejo bottom. I mean, he may get caught out here, but he did a lot of good damage. He's going back in for the tower, perhaps. Yeah, oh, doesn't get that right click off. We'll get it and pay for it with his life.
Okay, well, I mean, that's still 80 seconds down. Can Alliance force a buyback? It's hard. They've got the top lane pushed out, but they need to push both bottom and mid. Otherwise, C9's just going to split push them.
And that's their Aegis down. Like that distraction, like that split push mid, and then the Weaver split pushing bottom is essentially trading. Like Weaver's basically traded his life for an Aegis. Limp BKBs. That's a misclick from him. It's only come down, and I see this golden shiny sniper, and it's his 10-second BKB down the drain. Fortunate.
Well, tell me you do it. Tell me you do it, gods. And if you're in this point as Alliance, you've got 6,800 gold on paper. Would you do it?
You know, I definitely do it, but I don't. I also don't play to win. Sometimes I play for the entertainment value. You know, even when you're playing ranked, every now and then you get 7k gold a sniper, and you're like, this could lose my team the game. Who cares?
Oh, Limp is going to work towards that butterfly, still holding on to the buyback, of course. Alliance are going to try and take some aggressive pressure, put it onto C9. Now they've got bottom and mid controlled. Of course, top lane still pushing out the super creeps on the way.
I mean, C9 need this Weaver to perhaps transition more into a core, because Warlock is not a hero that's going to scale all amazingly well. His rocks just get weaker and weaker as the game goes on. He went back for a Blink, so now it's the Hex. The Blink Hex is at least makes the Hex a little bit better. It still feels like a pretty shitty item pickup. The Shiver's Guide is what I would have liked to see, because I feel like that's a good defensive item for when he gets jumped. But it's always going to be useful. It's 15 armor, one of the best armor items in the game. And the active is just generally better than a Hex, but he'll go for that, it looks like, as his last item pickup. Any big talents coming up. Magic immunity for Chaotic Offering Golems. That is not particularly useful. 15 Chaotic Offering Golems armor, that is useful.
That is very useful. All that physical damage, Jonas, some fun. So close, he's got the gem. Heal it. Guards his feeling. Gonna back away. Has to be caught in this spot. I need to reset up the trap a little bit farther back. At jungle is Hester going to take this bait. He's got the Air Spirit behind him. He might be feeling okay with it. You know, just one creep wave. That's all. Just one creep wave. Go farm it.
We'll
patient.
We'll get greedy first.
Yonosafan, start making your way down. 4-staff, 4-staff.
I mean, Jonas could start farming the lane and try bait it himself, but that be the best, safest play.
Joe
going for
just get greedy. He's so close. 4-staff forward. Gets the blink dagger. Pops out. Now the kick, though. It lands on 2, but it's still enough. With a raged up Loda Lifestealer with an Abyssal Blade, they do manage to catch Hester Joe, and they're so important because it now means Alliance once again can get some map control, and who knows, maybe they can push high ground, maybe they can catch Ace, a swap, oh no, Ace is dead! Ace is dead. This is surely going to be buybacks, and maybe Alliance, they've got a win condition finally. They force these buybacks. Yeah. I don't know if they keep going or not, but they force these buybacks, and then for the next 5 minutes, they have the opportunity to win the game.
And it's both split pushing heroes. The Weaver and the Lone Druid are the heroes that have been split pushing and causing them problems, so you're not worried about this top lane so much. Jonas is going to go back regardless. He's got boots to travel. They do need to be worried about buybacks with the boots to travel on cooldown for 10 seconds, but it seems Cloud9 with the low Lone Druid respawn, they just don't want to use it. They're like, well, we'll give them 2 full lanes to save our buybacks. They're going to drop Roxy at Loda. He's tanky.
Chaotic Offering with the Scythe of Ice. Another Chaotic Offering. It's coming close. The Fatal Bond damage is bouncing all those heroes in the back line. Rice now going to come forward. He does manage to get the Frostbite up onto Hanskin. That's going to be another potential kill. As he is going to be just chased down. That is going to be the buyback on Hester. Oh, though. They managed to keep the Lone Druid buyback intact, and they kept their melee racks.
Yeah. That is such a small little, a small little thing that could be a big difference between this like bottom lane having to be pushed out or not. Did have to commit the double rocks here, so I feel like trying to push and force a lifestealer buyback here isn't the easiest play to make. They'd much rather Roshan, and well, Cloud9, Rosh is a very short cooldown for them, so potential Weaver Aegis to make up for him not having buyback is there, but looks like first they want to try press forward. One of the nice things, when you're pushing with Lone Druid, it's great because if you do die, that minus 50-second respawn means you're not being punished for dying. When you're defend, you get punished because 50 seconds is a lot when your enemy's already at your base.
I'm a little bit worried about Ace here. He's playing this very aggressively. Lip actually comes forward. Yonosafan intercepts Hester Joe. Hester Joe doesn't have buyback. He doesn't get off the time lapse. Ace, he's fighting up against Lip, but he doesn't have a BKB. He's getting kited around. The stuns are there, and they've taken down the Lone Druid. 48 seconds down with buyback. Noya almost gets dropped as well. They'll TP out successfully, it looks like, but no buyback. 70 seconds for the Weaver.
They could even check Rosh if they want. They have time to take Rosh and go for the high ground play if they're fast about it, but it seems like they want to make sure they get some damage done to the enemy high ground. They've still got a cheese, actually. Loda, with that in his backpack, this is looking very deadly. As the Lone Druid dying, like that's the okay death for them because of that respawn time. But the Weaver dying is just not... Oh, they want to go for it.
There it is. Baby Knight stops the initiation from Yonosafan, but they're still chipping away at that tier 4 tower. They know they have a minute to work with, not just the Weaver, but also the double rocks out from the Warlock. It's not there.
No team fight.
He can only upheaval. They've only got the Lone Druid's damage to be able to work with at this point in time. Yonosafan pops that Blade Mail. Blade Mail's going to fade off in a little bit here. Another Scythe of Ice placed on the Loda. He doesn't have buyback. Remember that. But Ace, he's also a little bit danger. EGM goes for him. Straight up stuns him. Noya gets torn apart by Loda. Tier 4. He's down. Throne is exposed. It's already at 3k HP. Buybacks are rolling out from Cloud9, but Yonosafan intercepts. They're just going straight for the throne and lights up. They've taken game 2. They will push for a game 3 against Cloud9. What a comeback from Alliance.
Such a classic Alliance game. One of those, you're down, you look like you're out, but you somehow put together something magical to turn the game around. I mean, Cloud9 did play their part in giving away some of those kills, but more than anything, it was Alliance putting themselves in position to find those picks. Like Axe, Jonas so patient in the bottom lane, finding the Weaver for the first time. EGM on the Venge, finding those swap catches as well. Both of EGM and Jonas were so crucial